All right, you and I are diving into something epic. Meet Ga Yun, the undefeated president of this elite warrior school. Suddenly, a totally busted up kid shows up out of nowhere. He challenges her to a fight. She is super confused, but since it is an easy win, she accepts. Everyone heads straight to the makeshift sparring room. Ga Yun walks in with absolute confidence, just radiating crazy boss energy. In a flash, she throws a lightning-fast kick that would normally wreck anybody. But somehow, the kid completely dodges it. That one single move makes the whole room gasp and hold their breath. She starts throwing wild combo attacks, but this guy dodges every single one like it is nothing. Ga Yun realizes she cannot land even one hit. She admits nobody has dodged her this long and actually offers a draw. Being the top fighter and missing a beaten-up kid, yeah, that is super embarrassing. But the kid actually refuses the draw. Furious, she charges in with absolutely everything she has, the second she gets close. She nearly takes a brutal kick that could have ended the whole match. He keeps going. Even totally exhausted, he is fighting on equal terms, completely shocking her. He decides to get serious, claiming he will use every last drop of his energy. Moving at lightning speed, he throws a crazy combo of kicks she can barely escape. Running on fumes, he puts everything into one massive ultimate strike. But the instructor sees the danger and steps in, blocking that final hit. She is stunned, knowing if he was fully healed. She absolutely would have lost. She walks away with one massive question: who the heck is this guy? This is Jae Young. She never knew him because he only ever used his powers when totally necessary. Normally, he is just an average kid whose only goal is helping his dad. Now pay attention, because we are finally meeting the legendary hero Song. When Earth got invaded by literal demons, Song unlocked an unheard-of next-level power. Because of him, the world actually survived the apocalypse. But these days, Jae Yun works as a black market dungeon smuggler just to survive. He sneaks into restricted zones, grabs forbidden loot, and hands it off to rich clients. He has pulled this off 371 times, but one day a client gets furious, demanding the ultimate warrior and telling our main character to scram. When the kid calls him an old fool, the client snaps and sends his bodyguard to teach him a lesson. This guy, a maxed-out tank-class fighter. The giant walks up and throws a massive punch, but the kid dodges it like nothing. Impressed, the big guy swings again with way more force, but eats a brutal kick straight to the jaw that shatters the glass. The old man watches, completely speechless. The absolute unit gets up furious, pushing his body past the limit. Now he is tough enough to tank literal bombs and bullets. Walking away without a single scratch, he transforms into an armored titan. When he strikes, Jarong only dodges, knowing one hit from this beast is game over. While dodging, his boss tells him to wrap it up. The kid smirks, grabs some iron, and the second this massive giant attacks him, Jarong uses unreal strength to smash a punch right into his face, sending him straight to sleep. The bald dude finally realizes this kid is insanely overpowered. As a kid, he watched his dad train. Shan possessed a totally unique power that fascinated him. He started training alongside his dad every single day, leveling up his strength until he finally reached the godlike power tier he is right now. After that crazy showdown, Ga Yun tells the bald guy their price just doubled. The guy looks at the kid and agrees on the spot. He sips his water, hearing the job is in Yudo, but a city run by the deadliest monsters on Earth, Imperial wasps. You and I both see the massive red flags here. A while back, a government task force actually managed to assassinate the queen, but one of the 7 adventurers stole the royal jelly. The liquid wasps used to make a new queen, escaping into Yggdra forest. Today, everyone considers him dead. Hearing this royal jelly can cure absolutely anything and cheat death, John gets hyped. This epic item could actually save his dad from that incurable poison destroying his body. Our main character grabs his gear, opening the gate to the wildest, most dangerous mission ever. Yujiang steps into a mountainous zone, shielding his eyes from the blinding sun. When adhesion dungeons spawned globally, Korea got 2 massive ones. First was Gyudo, a dungeon completely fused with a volcanic mountain range. The other merged with the Yggdra jungle, and that is exactly where our guy is heading. Yggdra sits right in Seoul, in what used to be Yudo. With Yudo at the center, surrounding areas got swallowed up too, leaving a massive unexplored death zone. Most areas are D rank, but Yudo itself is S rank. That is where the thief took the jelly before heading to the Barama meeting spot. Jayob explains that at Barama, the smuggler lost contact. He probably died. But who knows, either way Zio Jun just has to reach the spot and secure that jelly before he leaves. Zioi stops him, warning him to stay totally focused. Smirking behind his mask, the kid asks if his boss actually thinks he would run away. Zio Satwin answers that he knows the kid isn't dumb enough for that. Then his boss drops one final warning: be careful out there. The royal jelly is absolutely priceless, and humans are not the only ones ready to die for it. Taking the warning to heart, the kid rappels down the massive cliff and slips into the forest. Once he pushes deep into the middle of the woods, he figures the entire forest can probably smell that weird scent. Suddenly, he looks down and completely freezes in pure shock and annoyance. Right there in the dirt, a massive, terrifying footprint. Zio Yang realizes that jelly smell is going to attract every monster around. Meanwhile, deeper inside the woods, birds scatter as a pointed-ear girl sprints through the trees, totally gasping for air. She ducks behind a tree just to catch her breath for 1 second. Her name is Jing Jin Saram, a first-year warrior currently experiencing the absolute worst day of her entire life. This was supposed to be an easy exam, but trust me, we are about to witness this simple test turn into a total disaster. Let us dive right into this crazy dungeon run. Jin just bumped into a massive beast that absolutely should not be here. She freezes up, staying super quiet, praying this giant monster will just walk right past her. But then a heavy gust of wind blows right at her, and reality hits hard. This exam was supposed to be a total cakewalk. All she had to do was farm some coins before the clock hit 0. Sure, it simulated real combat, but this zone was locked to the lowest rank. It should have been a complete breeze. We are talking basic beginner training. Any rookie could clear it. Then this absolute nightmare sneaks right up behind her, flashing a creepy grin. Jin totally panics. The mobs in here were supposed to be weak, brainless grunts, but not this guy. The four-armed giant swings at her with insane power, and she just barely dodges it. Running away? Yeah, not happening. Not against a beast this huge. She needs a plan B. Right then, she just prays for a literal miracle, whipping out her bow and knocking 3 arrows. The odds are garbage, but Jin is ready to throw down. The 3-star primal titan starts charging up this devastating breath attack. Fighting for her life, she lets all 3 arrows fly, but the beast just casually blocks them like it is nothing. Jin realizes its skin is literally thicker than a tank, meaning her chances are sitting at 0. Then the primate smashes its arm into the ground, blasting wind and heavy rocks everywhere. She dodges out of the way again, and even midair, Jin preps another shot. She already knows her arrows cannot break its defense, but she is completely out of options. 3 more arrows shoot out, supercharged by the wind. They barely leave a scratch, and the titan literally does not even blink. Looking at it, Jin realizes she never actually planned to kill it with those hits. She just wanted to bait it closer and make it drop its guard for a split second. Now she lines up another arrow, but this one is bursting with flames. This crazy plan might actually work. Landing safely, she dumps pure magic into it since her class lets her enchant arrowheads. With her life totally on the line, Jin hypes herself up to strike, activating her flame bombardier skill. She fires off a blazing shot that completely scorches the ground. Her magic capacity for arrows is basically unlimited, so for her ultimate move, she creates the most massive explosion possible. Now watch closely because this is where it gets wild. The shot lands, sparking a massive explosion. She stares through the smoke, wondering if that monster is finally toast. That massive hit should have deleted any 3-star threat instantly, but as the smoke clears out, Jin is completely horrified. The monster somehow survived by grabbing onto 2 trees. It barely made it out alive, and now it looks absolutely furious that its dinner actually fought back. Even her ultimate attack was useless without a direct hit. Panic sets in deep, and Jin really thinks this might be the end. Before she even tries to run, the monster hits the dirt and comes charging right at her. Jin spins around and sprints for her life, while the titan hunts her down with this totally unhinged look, loving every second of it. Then out of nowhere, our main character drops in and totally smashes his weapon into the titan. Jin looks up, completely shell-shocked, treating this guy like a literal superhero. Hanging in the air, Jirian locks eyes with the girl he just rescued. While Jin is still processing the chaos, the giant takes a brutal shot to the jaw and stumbles back. Trying to stay steady, he lands perfectly on a branch, realizing that even a flawless uppercut was not enough to drop it. Looking down, he sees the beast glaring back up at him with pure rage. He grabs a weird gadget from his pocket, an adventurer tool that acts like a weapon, holding bait in one hand and the tool in the other. The boy dives right back in to finish the beast off. Jin is totally mind-blown watching this. She never expected anyone to actually fight that monster head-on. Honestly, it looks like a suicide mission, and the angry titan swings both arms at him. Jarong screams at her to close her eyes immediately. She has zero clue why, but he aims the strange tool right at the monster's face. They are seconds away from a brutal clash where only one walks away. I know what you are thinking, how does he survive this? Well, the tool in Jarong's hand erupts. He shuts his eyes tight just as the flash bombs the beast. The intense light completely floods the forest, leaving the titan totally blinded. Surem listens to his warning, squeezing her eyes shut and throwing her arm up for extra cover. The clueless monster takes the full blast of the heavy light straight to the face. It screams in pure anger as our main character lands, figuring that Flash tool is completely cooked now since it was his absolute last one. That crazy gadget is a stun light, crafted from the rare scales of an oscillating fish snagged from way down in the deep ocean dungeons. Its stun effect made it totally overpowered, so adventurers bought them up like crazy. But since it worked way too well, people spammed it, and tons of guys ended up going blind. Because of that, crafting them is straight up illegal now. Even with her eyes closed, Zero was still dizzy from how intense the flash was. So she slowly starts blinking them open. Rushing past her with his baton, Yu Jarong says he just bought her a little time, and now she is completely on her own. Our MC figures as long as he does not carry a rookie through the dungeon, nobody will report him. He remembers his boss calling smugglers literal roaches to normal adventurers. And since the bounty for snitching on one is absolutely massive, just one dumb mistake could get him locked up by the government. He definitely did not want any more drama today, but as Jaeyoung kept running, he noticed something that completely stressed him out. Someone was tailing him right now. It was literally the girl from earlier. Seeing her chasing him down, he groaned, totally clueless about what she wanted. Gasping for air, Anisha kept pushing forward after the dude who saved her, desperate to say thanks. But knowing the golden rule of surviving the streets, he decided not to risk it and sprinted away. In literally 1 second, Anisha lost his trail completely. She stops in her tracks, totally baffled because he was just right in front of her. Suddenly her guard slips and a heavy baton smacks her neck, tossing her back. Jarong pins her down, calling her a total idiot and demanding to know what her deal is. Anisha panics, swearing she did not mean any trouble. She just wanted to thank her actual hero. The MC coldly asks if she honestly expects him to fall for such a totally rookie trap. Then she spills the real tea. She actually knew he was an underground smuggler, but she swears up and down she was not trying to bust him. She wanted to hire his services instead, which honestly makes him freeze. Spotting the Warrior Academy patch on her jacket, he sighs hard and finally chills out a bit. So what do you and I take from this wild ride? Never cross a smuggler. He pulls back his baton, warning her this is her absolute last chance to survive, as he turns to. All right, stick with me here, we're dropping right into the madness. Jaeyoung turns his back, claiming he has zero interest in a Warrior Academy kid. His voice goes ice cold, warning Anisha he'll actually bury her. She freezes for a second, but back down, no way. Instead, she mentions that smugglers go for 50 million, meaning hunters must fetch 400 million. Juryeong takes that as a massive insult and totally flares up, but then he spots something in her hand. His entire vibe flips. Issa is holding the Blood of Kill necklace. She points out that scoring 1 usually means catching 5 smugglers, over 200 million total. Sweating hard, she offers it as a simple down payment. She promises way more if the main character helps her pass. He just stares at the necklace. He mutters she is not just some spoiled brat. She is filthy rich and absolutely insane. Anisha snaps back that being crazy does not matter. Holding it high, she tells him this chance will flip his whole life. Jaeyoung sighs heavy, admitting he expected something wild like this. Then he apologizes, blaming Anisha, and casually says he does not even need a reason to kill her. Totally rattled, she asks what he means. A massive shadow suddenly swallows the light. Looking up, he reminds her time is up. Right on cue, an enraged, four-armed primate beast comes crashing down from the sky. It tracked their flash and slams down hard with all four arms. Both of them dive away just in time. Suddenly, a blur flies right at Anisha. She catches it. It is Jerong's baton. He yells at her to stop freezing up and asks if she remembers that fire attack. Flashing back to coating her arrow in flames, she hears him order her to ignite the baton and toss it right back. Anisha panics, yelling she is practically out of magic. The main character cuts her off, figure it out. You feel that tension, right? The monster winds up to strike. He yells he cannot hold its aggro barehanded forever. Anisha desperately funnels her magic into the baton. She realizes her tank is on empty, less than a quarter power left. Watching Jerong brawl with the Titan, she knows this tiny spark will not even scratch the beast. Just for a second, she actually considers running while he plays bait. Meanwhile, our guy is throwing hands with everything he has, fighting to survive. Annoyed but locked in, he keeps dodging, forcing the monster's focus completely onto himself. Then, perfect speed and aim. The flaming baton rockets back, and Jirian snags it clean. Anisha drained her entire magical core for that throw. She absolutely cannot believe she is risking this much for him. Calling her crazy, he leaps high, spinning the baton, and loudly declares he is disappointed. This is not even a quarter of her previous power. Honestly, he calls it pathetic. Even so, he smirks and says it will do. Dripping with confidence, he grips the blazing weapon and charges the beast. As the clash peaks, Anisha remembers the golden rule of the Warrior Academy. Against real monsters, raw strength is never enough for an adventurer to win. Timing is everything, and Jerong is a masterclass right now, smoothly dodging hits while hunting for that one perfect opening. The absolute key is landing the perfect strike. The primate titan swings wide, leaving its guard totally exposed. Make every strike count. Anisha watches, completely blown away. After dancing around every deadly blow, Jaeyoung finds his window and brutally uppercuts the baton right into the titan's chin. Boom, a massive explosion hits. As smoke clears, the beast's lower face is ruined. The main character's glasses shatter from the shockwave. Seeing the beast fall, a tiny smirk hits his face. Game over. Right then, a heavy memory from Anisha's childhood flashes back. Little Anisha had just finished playing and was packing up to leave. Her massive bodyguard was already waiting by the fancy car to escort her home. Waving goodbye, her friends cheerfully chatter about tomorrow. But then she catches them whispering, gossiping about how lucky she was, getting absolutely everything handed to her on a silver platter. But they were dead wrong. Because of her status, there were so many normal things she could never actually have. Her dad ran the Jinsong Group, South Korea's fourth biggest global megacorp, and the heir, he married a literal elf from another dimension. That wild crossover created someone unforgettable. Anisha, a dark-haired half-elf with a seriously stubborn heart. I know we all love an underdog. She admired adventurers deeply, desperately wanting to be one, but fate said no, forcing her to abandon that dream. Later, a blonde elf crushes her hopes entirely. Anisha lies exhausted on the dirt as he coldly explains her elven blood is way too weak. She is basically human. He tells the guy next to him they need to stop pushing her and talk her down, but Shayu calmly replies he is not forcing her to do anything. He is just backing her adventurer dream. Elven talent is not a strict requirement, and the elf actually agrees, compared to your average normal human. He admits Anisha has okay potential, but honestly, she is only slightly above average. All this insane effort is just going to waste. The blonde elf tells Sunanju straight up, his daughter is no basic human. She is way too stubborn to ever just quit on her own. She got that fire from her mom, the elf sister. Still, he drops the harsh truth. No matter her grind, she will never reach the level of true monsters. At her absolute peak, she might become fairly capable. Cut to present-day older Anisha. The elf's words echo, with enough blood, sweat, and tears. She might earn praise as an elite normal human. Besides, she was born with huge advantages anyway: wealth, status, and her bloodline. He warned those exact privileges would make her struggle look like a joke. Hard limits exist. People will totally trash her out of pure jealousy. Leaving her entirely alone, labeled as just another spoiled princess. Even if she gets strong, that crushing loneliness will snap her, complete isolation eventually breaks everyone. Snapping back to reality, Jaeyoung just casually bodied the boss. Seeing this insane victory, Anisha is totally speechless. He lands and the giant beast crashes down right behind him. One single facial strike completely ruined it. Walking away, something lightly brushes his ear, freezing him in his tracks. And honestly, you and I would react the exact same way. Staring like she saw a ghost, she mutters that it is literally impossible. All right, stick with me here. Her savior is just a high school kid. Jaeyoung touches his face, realizes what happened, and gets instantly annoyed for totally slipping up. He remembers Jihoon warning him to be super careful with these expensive glasses, now holding the weird busted frames. Yu says they look totally basic and shouldn't cost much. His boss shuts that down fast. Those glasses block face scans, change your voice, and pack 4 crazy magic effects. Back to the present, and those pricey glasses are completely smashed to pieces from Jihoon's last attack. He covers his face, muttering that this whole situation is going downhill fast and getting on his nerves. Still trying to process everything, the girl actually asks if he's a veteran from the Warrior Academy. Already fed up because he just wanted a simple gig, our protagonist bluntly says no. Then Yu turns to her, absolutely furious, and demands the item she promised him. To his surprise, she hands over the necklace right away, 0 arguments. That just reminds him how loaded Jin really is, so he quickly snatches the jewel before she can study him any longer. With the necklace secured, Jae-young checks it over and confirms it is the real deal. Then Jin actually asks if he needs more money. She says even if he skipped the Warrior Academy, those adventure training schools are still insanely expensive. Before she can offer cash, our MC cuts in. He doesn't attend any adventure school. That shocks her even more. He tells her she has him all wrong. Jihoon explains he has never gone to any adventure school, not even close. He just goes to a totally normal school. Jin then asks who taught him to fight like that. He says literally no one. Walking closer with his hands shoved in his pockets, he calmly adds that he taught himself. This time, Jin gets annoyed. She snaps back that there is 0 chance that is true. His movement and timing are way too sharp for someone with 0 training. She insists he has to be messing with her, instead of answering nicely. Now pay attention, this is where it gets funny. Jihoon suddenly chucks something right at her face. She catches it, completely confused, but then Siro realizes it is actually a school ID. She pulls the card free and reads it. It is from Donggun's secondary school and the name says Yuhim. Jihoon tells her not to even bother remembering it. His school is just another totally ordinary place. After everything she has seen today, the girl is practically losing her mind, calling it impossible, but he is not letting her doubt him. Yu points his baton at her, demanding she hand over some proof too, like a student ID, once he finally gets his hands on it. He reads the name Jin's serum to check if it is real. He notices she is exactly his age and confirms she really is from the Warrior Academy, then randomly. He straight up slips her ID into his pocket. Jin immediately asks why. Jihoon says it is simple. She made an offer. Since she knows his identity, he needs solid insurance before taking this job. He cannot risk her turning on him later. He adds that he never works without backup plans, and there is still one more crazy thing he needs to do. The protagonist pulls out his phone, wraps an arm right around Jin's shoulders, and drags her into a side hug, leaving her completely flustered. Yu says he is taking a selfie. If she betrays him, the photo proves she was tied to a smuggler too. As they pose, Jin is still totally frozen in shock. Jihul suddenly realizes she might have stepped into something super serious. With a totally threatening look, he tells her to smile. That is when she realizes this boy is dangerously smart. I know what you're thinking, she's trapped. She forces a shaky laugh and fakes a smile, but backing out is no longer an option. It is already way too late. The MC snaps the photo with Jin right beside the Titan's corpse. Afterward, he just stares at the screen, making sure it came out perfectly. Once he is satisfied, he tells Jin it is time to talk payment, asking what she actually wants done. Still completely rattled, Serum says the job is to collect coins. Jin explains that during this 6-hour test, she has to gather hidden coins around the exam zone. To prove herself as a Warrior Academy student, she needs to find a specific box with a coin inside. She already got 1 coin, so she only needs 1 more to pass this thing. Then Jin says the last box is nearby, and Jerong immediately asks where. She tells him it is in the ruins of the old Eugene shopping mall. That answer completely catches him off guard, like a light bulb just went off. He says he totally gets it now. Jin has no idea what he means, so he explains their meeting was not random. The thing he came for is in that exact mall. After a super quick explanation of his mission, the girl blurts out that she cannot believe he is hunting the Imperial Wasp. Jirian corrects her right away. He is not after the wasp, just something it makes. Maybe honey or jelly. He says that jelly gives off a strong smell that literally pulls monsters in. Which is exactly why that primate titan showed up. Still, what matters now is whether she really has to hit that mall or if another coin is hiding somewhere else. Looking super uneasy, Jin says the mall is the only place left with a coin. The other groups probably swept up all the other boxes already. Hearing that, the protagonist just looks at her. Once she mentions groups, he quietly realizes exactly why she was all alone. Even so, Jaeryong tells Jin it is perfectly fine. Honestly, that just makes things way easier for him. He says they will go in, grab the coin and the jelly, and get out in one piece. He is about to name his price, but Jin beats him to it, offering 950 million. She says that is all she has, and that insane number reminds him she is absolutely loaded. Some start saying she can get more cash, but Yun cuts her off, saying that is plenty, as he turns toward their dangerous destination. He adds that the price goes up if things go bad, but if all goes well, that amount works perfectly. He asks if she can still run, and she quickly nods. With that, they break into an epic sprint through the forest toward the mall. A little behind him, the young woman is already struggling hard. Totally out of breath, she watches Yun Rinyari run ahead like it costs him zero effort at all. To her, his speed is just unbelievable. Meanwhile, Jaeryong sighs to himself, thinking he agreed way too fast and definitely should have asked for more cash. While they run, Jin calls out, asking if she can ask him a quick question. Looking totally bored, he says sure, and she asks if he really learned everything on his own. He says not quite everything, but most of his skills came from solo training. As they keep moving, Xiaoang starts talking about his past. He mentions being a kid, but before he can finish, boom, danger. Two strange creatures are hunting right nearby. And trust me, you're going to want to see this. They're Gari raptors, beasts from Boromadon. Gio yells to get ready, and she immediately draws her bow, preparing to attack. Let's dive right back into the madness. Before Jin can even blink, our guy charges the monsters. Zero formal training, just pure survival instinct. Well, almost zero. Back in the day, he watched his dad pull off a move so wild it burned into his memory, giving him 3 special techniques. Closing the gap with his baton, he unleashes the first one on the Guri raptor. It's called the needle. He throws his whole body weight and speed right at a vital point, landing a flawless hit. A simple move, but polished with crazy talent. Top-tier adventurers still struggle with this, but he drops the first monster in one shot. The second beast is just 2 stars. So Jin easily takes it down, catching a few scratches. Putting away her bow, she mentions something is off. These raptors normally hunt in 5s. He points out that the royal jelly scent didn't just attract her. Monsters are likely swarming everywhere, probably reaching the city edge right where the mall is. Seeing she's looking pretty banged up, he tells her they should take a quick breather. Circling back, Jin asks if anyone ever officially trained him. He says no again. He literally just watched a guy train and copied his homework. Plus, he was hiding from that guy the whole time, so he only learned a handful of moves, since nobody ever asks about this. He asks why she suddenly cares so much. Instead of giving a straight answer, Jin totally loses it and blurts out that she really hates his guts. Then she chucks a random item right at his head. He catches it instantly, and when he checks his hand, it's a crazy expensive stamina potion. He gives her a weird look, asking if this is a freebie. She yells at him to just chug it since he's obviously running low on energy. But he calls out the classic tsundere logic. You just said you hate me, but here's a shiny gift. To her absolute shock, he just pockets the potion. She demands to know what his deal is. He says why waste it when he can totally sell it for cash. She snaps that it's pricey for a reason, so just drink the stupid thing. But he calmly replies he knows its black market value is huge. Jin just mutters to herself. He is absolutely infuriating, but right now, he's her only ticket out. Our guy decides break time is officially over and they hit the road, spotting Jin still zoned out. He figures rich kids are just built differently. Money is nothing to them. Reaching the mall, he reminds her of the game plan. Let's run it back. They are not here to fight. Get in, grab the loot, and speedrun right out the back door. Whatever happens, follow his lead and don't panic. She might be book smart, but street survival is his domain. Just trust the pro. Still, Jin is acting super weird, caught up in a strange vibe. At the academy, everyone totally ignored her. This is her first time facing death with someone who doesn't treat her like garbage. He says it's go time, but she's sweating bullets. Real danger is coming. Now watch closely, because the second they step into that old mall, the vibe instantly changes. This heavy, suffocating pressure drops on them. Jin asks what's going on, but he's clueless too. Then they see shredded monster chunks everywhere. Absolute proof some god-tier beast just rolled through. Humans can be brave, sure. Give them a reason and they'll face anything. But when reality shatters the plan, that breaks you. These beasts don't belong here, and even veteran explorers would get cooked. Looking at this complete bloodbath, they are clueless. He tells her to lock in. Something lethal is lurking, but hey, danger was always the deal. She admits it's way worse than she expected, but the mission stands. Right on cue, something shifts in the pitch-black shadows. He instantly pulls out his weapon. The ugly thing stands up, a 2- or 3-star slasher lip looking for a snack. Our MC charges it. The monster whips out this massive tongue, but he blocks it with his staff. Suddenly, a huge red flag pops up. The tongue wrapped completely around his weapon. It yanks backward, dragging him straight toward its jaws. Right before becoming lunch, he ditches the staff. Flipping through the air, he drops a perfectly aimed kick right on its head. Jin hangs back, waiting for her opening to strike. He casually grabs his staff. Jin is freaking out that the monster is still breathing, but he smirks, totally on purpose. He let it live so its dying screech would act as an alarm. Warn who? Himself, obviously. He doesn't just sit around waiting to get jumped. Suddenly, some random guy strolls up complaining about cleaning up messes. Jin figures he's another explorer, but our guy stays frosty. Do they know each other? The dude smirks, saying they look way too amateur to be smugglers. Seeing the academy crest on Jin, he practically teleports in front of them. You kids from the warrior school. Jin nods and the guy smiles. You and I both know a death threat in anime means things just got real. Jin freezes in terror, but MC tells her to block him out. Not a normal explorer. That's a villain here to hijack the royal jelly. The guy laughs, saying he wasn't supposed to touch the client's stash. But hey, rules only apply if you get caught, and his luck is running hot. Word on the street was a target carried heavy loot. He planned a quick ambush, but the script completely flipped. His earlier wipeout plan failed, and now he's stuck in this dump with 0 targets found, probably hiding like rats in the smuggler tunnels, he figures. Hearing this, everything clicks. The smuggling center didn't go dark from wasp venom. This total psycho caused all the chaos before the real fight even started. Our MC knows immediately this dude is massive trouble. The creep even offers them a quick, painless game over if they play nice. This guy is next level. MC yells to grab the coins and run. Trust me, you're gonna want to see how this showdown ends. Alright, stick with me here. We are jumping straight back into the madness. With monsters cleared out, she's gotta hustle. But before he can even finish talking, the enemy strikes. Lightning fast, but it completely whiffs. Jerong screams at her to move her feet. No time for second thoughts. If they want that cash, she needs to survive. Seeing her sprint off definitely ticks off our villain. The guy mocks them, saying dividing up ruins their survival odds. Jerong, totally unbothered, he just plants his feet and powers up. Absolute 0 distraction. Jerong swings his staff with pure, heavy-hitting skill. The enemy suddenly panics, realizing his own attack was way too predictable. Bam! A split second later, Jerong's foot connects right with his jaw. The guy goes flying, but our boy knows the fight's still on. Even the villain is impressed. He totally slept on them for being kids, but playtime is over. Seeing that Jerong outclasses most actual pros, the enemy decides it is time to break out the gear. He smirks, telling Jerong to relax since his defeat will be quick. Meet young Dagon, a legit gold-class adventurer. Cut to somewhere else, a guy casually praises his perfectly cooked instant noodles. He tries to pass a bowl to his bald buddy, who aggressively passes on the carbs. Noodle guy just tells him to chill, since their sleeping mercenary is completely out cold. Baldy is absolutely raging. He dropped serious cash on that guy, and now he's snoozing mid-mission. Pacing like a maniac, he flexes about his old adventurer days. The other guy says to cut him some slack. The sleeper didn't drop because he was weak. He lost because player versus player just is not his thing. Adventurers do way more than smash monsters. This dude was literally built for scouting and tracking. Not throwing hands with an actual human, since he wasn't prepped for a brawl, losing to a smuggler totally tracks. But Baldy fires back, saying adventurers scrap all the time. And yeah, he's totally right. Higher levels mean insanely bigger loot drops, so eventually, fights are guaranteed to break out. Greed takes over and boom, teammates stab each other in the back. Baldy is shocked they would actually commit murder, but honestly, no one's around to play referee. Listen, you and I both know dungeons have 0 rules. Blame a monster for the kill and walk away clean. No alibi required. The closer to the top you get, the more you gotta watch your back against humans. But this sleeping dude, his tier was just too low, which explains the dirt nap. Beefing with your own squad is almost adorable. Plus, if he actually got busted, they definitely had to be throwing hands outside the dungeon walls. Mostly just a bare-knuckle brawl with 0 gear. Baldy has 0 clue what that means, though. Basically, equipment means whatever sweet weapons and armor you haul inside. Even the basic trinkets. If he had his loadout, our sleepy guy would have put up a real fight. It is that crucial. Gear literally doubles your overall combat power. Back to the action, Jerong knows Dagon didn't even try dodging. That strike connected perfectly, but the weirdo's blade soaked up the entire hit. As our boy calculates his next move, Dagon yells at him to stay frosty. A lightning-fast strike comes in, and Jerong barely gets his staff up in time. Zoning out mid-battle is an absolute rookie mistake. It disrespects the fight and practically begs for a game over. Dagon seizes the opening and violently kicks Jerong in the gut. The force is absolutely devastating, launching him backwards. But right before slamming into the wall, Jerong digs his heels in and completely grounds himself. The absolute second he finds his balance, this maniac is back in his face, slashing wildly with his sword, giving 0 room to breathe. Parrying everything is impossible, and a few strikes actually connect, drawing blood from his cheek. Thinking he has won, the weirdo gets cocky, daring Jerong to pull off another crazy move. Not happening, the weirdo is rocking the shadow jacket, legit S-rank gear. It literally burns the wearer's blood to crank up physical defense and push their strength off the charts. The guy is basically in full berserker mode. Spotting a weakness is super hard, but not impossible. Problem is, one sloppy counter will get Jerong sent straight to the afterlife. The clash drags out and Dagon is fighting like an absolute lunatic. Suddenly, he swings for the gut. Jerong flinches, but the villain just laughs, a total fake-out. Watch closely, because right here, our boy does something completely out of the box. He casually asks if it is a holiday, before completely tossing his own jacket aside. Standing tall, Jerong roasts him, saying despite that fancy S-rank drip, he isn't even that strong. The giant aura was scary at first, but if struggling against an unarmed high schooler is his peak, then Dagon is just a scrub getting completely carried by his loot. Jerong smirks, claiming he would easily dominate with armor like that. This totally shatters Dagon's ego. He absolutely loses it, screaming that the kid is dead meat. Jerong plays it smart. He doesn't need to speed run this. The villain is the one on the clock to catch Suram. Dragging this brawl out gives our guy the advantage. Jerong knows this will completely break his opponent's focus. Desperate to wrap things up, the weirdo charges forward in an absolute blind rage. Jerong braces hard, their weapons violently crash together, exploding with crazy aura. Get this, he literally figured out this technique by just watching as a kid. It's his second technique. A massive blue aura vortex spirals out. Lacking the raw stats, Jerong perfectly counters, hijacking the enemy's momentum for an impossible, overpowered strike. He barely even mastered this move called Swell, but the output is insane. The blast hits him like an absolute freight train. Boom, shockwaves blast everywhere. Afterward, Jerong heavily leans on his staff. That crazy stunt wrecked his stamina and did some serious internal damage. He honestly never thought he'd use that in actual combat. Imagine a pro adventurer being basic enough to just rush blindly. Jerong tells him to quit, claiming game over. Instead, Dagon yanks out a dagger, screaming at him to shut up. His hands are totally shaking from fear. Then boom, he literally plunges the blade into his own chest. Jerong is completely stunned, but the weirdo grins, promising one single fact: he will absolutely annihilate this kid, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, up on the fifth floor, Suram finally reaches her goal. She spots the box, hits the glowing blue circle, and the system scans her ID to verify her identity. Mission accomplished, right? She just needs to bounce. But suddenly the vibe totally shifts. She quickly spins around to check her six. Suram flashes back to Jerong, shouting at her to run and secure the bag. But right now, running feels like it won't actually fix a thing. So what do you and I make of this? She's terrified, imagining that villain's face. Jerong wouldn't pick a fight he couldn't win, right? Let's find out. All right, let's dive in. While weighing her options, she thought back to his favorite hobby. The guy absolutely loved bullying people at school. He really was a prodigy. Since childhood, he figured life would be a breeze because his talent was undeniable. Constant adult praise confirmed it. He ruled over the other kids easily, but one huge thing didn't go his way. The Warrior Academy actually rejected him. To cope, he blamed academy politics. Bribes beating out raw talent. That was the only excuse his ego could handle, because if it was just about skill, they'd never reject him. He literally took first place in the endurance exam. Compared to average students, his stats were just insanely high. He ranked at the very top again, and his classmates weren't even shocked. The dude thrived on all the attention. Now they hit the final graduation task. After the ceremony, the headmaster approached him. He congratulated the guy, saying he'd make an awesome adventurer. Then came a stern warning: keep pushing and drop the ego. He just scoffed, seeing the headmaster as a total washed-up loser with a boring job. He promised himself he'd climb so high that old man would be jealous, but right now, he's on a dungeon floor, absolutely terrified. The adventurer who rescued him said he rushed in because things looked super bad, but honestly, he expected the monster to be way tougher. Yet that weak monster completely wrecked his entire squad. A harsh reality check. The adventurer shot him a look, the exact same look he gave everyone else. Then it finally clicked. The headmaster's words weren't advice. They were actually just pity for his real limits. He wasn't some chosen prodigy. He was just slightly above average. Regular folks hyped him up, but he was barely a step ahead. Watch this next move closely. That jacket was literally a living vampire, pumping all its blood right into his heart. The cost of murder. Our boy asked if he was sure, since that sketchy trick looked completely self-destructive, but the freak charged anyway. Boom. Even after transforming, his speed barely increased. The real upgrade was his terrifying new look. His strikes were heavy, totally unhinged. Then his arms stretched out. After everything crazy today, this was somehow another wild twist. Blood pooled on the floor. The freak glared at his target, who was panting, guards shattered. Somehow, our guy blocked it. The weirdo complimented his crazy reflexes and talent, then asked why someone so skilled became a smuggler. Our MC was totally lost. He shot back, asking why the sudden praise. What he did with his life was nobody else's business. Still, the creep thanked him. Because of the boy, he finally got to break a real genius. Hyped up, he lunged to finish it. But our MC wasn't going down easy. Even after taking heavy damage, his body kept dodging perfectly. Seeing that just hyped the freak up more, begging to see his real talent. Our boy knew this ugly mode had a time limit. Blood burns fast. So he figured he'd stall until the guy burned out and needed the needle. But the weirdo already knew. He thought our boy was done for. He swung completely wild again. Then bam, a massive fireball suddenly nailed his shoulder out of nowhere. Our boy turned around. His friend actually returned to help. He smirked at her, totally caught off guard. Seriously, she never listens. Still, that stubborn loyalty is kind of awesome. With the creep distracted, he slammed him with his staff, dust everywhere. The whole area was completely trashed and smoking. The freak's body hit the dirt, though they couldn't confirm if he was actually dead. Our boy assumed he was toast and told her to chill. Holding up a photo of the guy, he figured the dude wouldn't try getting revenge. It would totally wreck his career anyway. Grabbing his staff, he joked, asking if she forgot he just saved her life. That's a major favor. They're up to 2 now. Once early on and again when she tagged along. But since he's so nice, he'll count it as 1. Annoyed, she asked if saying sorry kills. Okay, you and I both know we gotta check this out. The parking lot was wrecked, but a golden light shined from a hole, so down they went. As they stepped closer, this super sweet scent instantly filled the air. At the bottom, a random body on the floor holding a briefcase in its lap. And that bright golden glow was coming right from it. He stepped up carefully, closing his eyes for a quick second, basically paying his respects. Then, he looked at her and said he warned her about seeing messed up stuff, but she followed anyway. Since they made it this far, they opened the case. He popped the latches. The smell was completely insane. Sweet, addictive, and straight up making them want to turn their brains off. Left totally out in the open, it was definitely attracting some major monsters, looking right at the item beside it. He checked the gear nearby and wondered if the bag had royal jelly. His gut said to run before things got crazy dangerous. They sprinted up to the first floor, but the killer's body vanished. If he survived, he bolted. Then a shriek echoed. He screamed for them to wait, vowing he remembered their faces. He swore he'd ruin their lives and make them regret this day. Fueled by rage, the freak ran off. But guess what? Life had one more joke. A starving monster leaped right at him, jaws wide. Definitely not the epic ending he wanted. Zero time to dodge and he got swallowed whole. That revenge arc canceled forever. Not even our heroes who let him live expected instant karma to hit that hard. Figuring it was time to completely bail, they slipped out the back. After walking a bit, he guessed they were safe. Then he asked about her exam, found out she had time, and offered his hand. He admitted he was glad they teamed up. Their team-up did its job perfectly, and she flashed a genuine smile. They shook hands, totally satisfied with their crazy run. He warned her to keep quiet, send the cash, and lay low. But before leaving, she asked to meet again. Trust me, we haven't seen the last of them. All right, stick with me on this one. Cabalin spots some trash, then looks up, totally hooked. Our boy is back in those shredded clothes. Yeah, he has been through hell. They pop the briefcase open, and boom, that classic golden glow spills right out. If word got out, you could buy entire buildings with this stuff. He hypes the kid up for a job well done, promising a fat paycheck soon. Then he squints at the boy, slowly crushing his cigarette. Butch is looking a little spaced out, so Cababalanho checks on him, still sweating that adventurer who died fighting him. Look, the guy died later. Zero reason to feel guilty about it. Cababalanho pushes a bit. Did something else go down in the dungeon? The kid just waves it off, tells him to drop it. It is nothing. Staring at the briefcase, he asks to pocket the leftovers, since it clearly isn't that royal jelly stuff. Caballano says sure, smuggler rules, you keep what is not on the main bounty. He is honestly just curious which rich kid is eating this stuff. This item doesn't just pull you back from death's door. Nope, that is basic. It actually shatters a person's physical limits and fully unlocks their raw, natural talent. The exact specs are a bit hazy, but it only works on minors. Definitely not something you waste on a full-grown adult. Probably custom ordered for some hotshot at the warrior school. Yeoujuriang says his goodbyes, and Cabalanho wishes him luck, adding a quick reminder to say hi to her dad. The boy nods. Honestly, his luck has been absolute garbage lately. Stepping outside, he stares at the sunset, his mind flashing back to the Warrior Academy and that girl. He flat out asked if she was into him, but nah, she was dead serious about this. The Academy entrance exam is hitting this winter. Acceptance rates are brutally low, but she swore he actually had a chance. And fact is, no adventurer solos a dungeon, no matter how overpowered they are. Now pay attention, this is crucial. Dungeon monsters are just too insane for solo players. That is why teams mean everything. Different classes team up, cover blind spots, and farm experience points together. That is the only way to clear them. He asks if the Academy's factions just brawl all day. She scoffs. If it was that easy, no one would panic. Her class is split into two major factions, completely run by the top 3 rankers. He asks which side she is on. Neither. The teachers stay completely out of it, expecting students to form squads themselves. She fully understands his unsaid point. She is only a target because she is weak. She already knows she will never be a top-tier student. Still, she could have easily joined a random faction squad, but one leader absolutely hates her guts. Never said it out loud, sure, but she quietly blacklisted her from joining any group. Jirian literally asks if she stole the girl's boyfriend. Nope, not that. She has survived solo so far, but playing lone wolf for the next few years means game over. Hence why she is trying to hire Garian. With his crazy skills backing her, she might actually live. Thinking it over, she glances at the medicine sitting right there. Such a weird girl, honestly. Letting out a heavy sigh after a totally exhausting day, she finally reaches her destination and calls out to let them know she is here. Welcome to the 12th dungeon barrier in Gangnam. Killing time, her mind drifts back to that weird boy. Before leaving, he just wished her luck, so she figured he ghosted her offer. Suddenly, a voice says she is right on time. Enter Kong, the absolute unit running hand-to-hand combat training. Since she is early, she asks if things went south. Yeah, huge problem. Some completely out-of-place monsters just spawned in the zone. 0 casualties so far, but students called for backup to bail on the test. Oddly enough, they were stuck right where she found that coin earlier. He gives her a look. Did she run into trouble too? She nervously says no. He drops the subject instantly, just ordering her to stay right behind his back. You and I both know this feeling, right? Pure heavy dread. She looks up and there it is. A monster like the one from before, but insanely massive. A literal titan ape spawning here makes 0 sense. Their habitat is miles away, so something definitely lured this big guy out. It hits her instantly, that same weird scent from before. Kong barks at Sirium to stay back and she quickly mumbles an apology. This beast just wants an all-you-can-eat buffet. But remember, every academy instructor is a retired adventurer, usually benched because of permanent battle damage. At least that is the rumor, but one single punch from Kong absolutely flattens the titan. He slams it down while crazy fire magic erupts up his entire arm. The flames hit the beast's head and boom, total overkill. The massive body just drops. Let's not forget, back in the day, these guys were literal high rankers. The ape's head keeps popping like fireworks even after death. Kong's prosthetic arm is completely trashed, and he flat out tells her she got super lucky. Without him, game over. Still, the big guy gently pats her shoulder. All that matters is she is alive. Time to pack it up and hit the safe zone. Seriously, never sleep on the instructors. Back at the academy, the gossip shifts to those kids who smashed the panic button. Those guys actually get a free pass to retake the exam. Lucky breaks. Kong calls them absolute weaklings, then nods toward the door. One of them just showed up. Our one-armed guy tells her to head inside. He's going to do a head count while she needs to check the numbers and throw her uniform on. Okay, she can finally breathe. Suddenly, a girl strolls up, swearing she just knew she would be totally fine. At least she works fast. That toxic fake concern is coming right from Anisha, acting super worried about her classmate. Our girl snaps back, saying she never expected pity from her. Keeping up the act, Anisha claims she's just speaking for her sister. Flashback to 6 years ago. Siram's uncle, Zeke, is barking orders, telling her to crank up her magic output. He demands laser focus, but honestly, it is just too much for her to handle. He calls off the session right there, saying they are totally done. He mutters she got slightly better, but barely. Then a huge cheer erupts nearby. Exhausted, she turns her head. There is her sister, flexing absolute top-tier talent. Anisha crushed the technique instantly. She doesn't even look like a hybrid, and her mana control completely dunks on pure bloods. So what do you and I take from this? Simple. Zeke warns her she is doomed to live in Anisha's shadow, and honestly, the endless comparisons are just the start. Listen up, you and I are diving straight into the drama. He warned her to watch her back since that girl was toxic. Playing the victim, Anisha acted totally confused. Why didn't anyone want her on their team? Before she could even speak, Anisha interrupted. If she was so curious, they should just partner up right now. But yeah, that was a terrible idea. They literally had the exact same class. Long-range magic healing. Stacking 2 healers on one squad, completely useless. Of course, Anisha didn't care about ruining the team balance. Still, Anisha brushed it off. There was probably going to be a makeup exam anyway, but our girl clapped back. She didn't give a single flying flip about the test. Why? Because she had already passed. Anisha faked a smile, praising her sister for working so hard, but then came the totally passive-aggressive warning to not overdo it. After all, Anisha was the chosen heir anyway. Ouch, that little chat left her absolutely fuming. The message was loud and clear. Anisha wanted her to just quit. Later that night, boom, the door flew open. Yo-Yang sprinted in, looking totally panicked. As the patient's guardian, he instantly demanded to know what went wrong. The news was awful. His dad's health had tanked again. The doctors were clueless, honestly. This illness was crazy rare, like literally the only case on Earth. Zero records of anybody ever surviving dragon blood poisoning. Yoga already knew the harsh reality. At this point, keeping his dad comfortable was the only option left on the table. A cure was impossible, but now, even pain management was failing. The hospital was completely running out of the ingredients for his meds, right now. His only hope was milk from a 5-star threat called the Flying Tiger, insanely dangerous. He offered to pay whatever it cost, but the doctor hit him with a reality check. Cash wasn't the issue. A crazy new buff potion just dropped for adventurers. It gave a massive, long-lasting strength boost from just a tiny sip. The main ingredient? Yep, that exact monster milk. Back in the day, you could buy it easily since everyone thought it was trash loot. But today, Megacore and pros were hoarding every single drop. Jirian was seeing red. How could they not spare even a tiny dose for a dying man? But here is where it gets absolutely wild, so pay attention. The doctor drops the real problem, the dosage. His dad needs enough raw material to brew 10 whole-strength potions. If thousands of people had this disease, the government might actually do something. But one single case, no chance. The docs swore they would try their best. But without that milk, they were basically out of options. Hearing this, our main character slumps onto a bench, totally defeated. Life just kept kicking him while he was down. With shaking hands, he finally grabs his phone. He dials up the girl he bumped into earlier. Xiao Yang asks if he's calling too late, but she brushes it off. He skips the small talk. Backed completely into a corner, he tells her he is taking the deal. She listens quietly, then asks if he has any special demands. Once he explains, she promises to look into it. And get this, it might actually work. He is totally stunned, but she confirms it. Her megacorp actually manufactures that potion. So siphoning off a small amount of milk is totally doable. He literally can't believe his luck, a massive weight off his chest. They lock in the deal right there. Before hanging up, she reminds him to study up for the exam. Hey, getting ahead of the game never hurts. Bright and early the next morning, Xiao Yang rolls up to the corporate HQ. She smirks, noting he is way early. As he walks over, she checks on his condition and he plays it cool. Then our guy finally asks what the actual plan is. And she drops the bomb. They're testing his absolute limits. She breaks it down. The world isn't what it used to be. Back in the day, a regular human maxed out at D rank. Hitting C rank meant you were a prodigy. B rank and up, superhuman territory. And that is pure physical power, not even counting magic. Pro explorers need solid C ranks across 5 different areas. Want into warrior school? You better have 3 B ranks. Xiao Yang looks confused. Was this just a gym class fitness test? She laughs. That basic stuff is for little kids. For adults, things get hardcore. He asks what she means, but the second they strap him into this weird high-tech suit, the reality finally clicks. This isn't a treadmill test. He really should have known when she asked if he felt okay, because standing right in front of him is a massive, heavily armed battle robot. Well, no backing out now. Xiao Yang decides to go all out. He actually wants to see his own peak, so he drops into a fighting stance against this mechanical beast. You feel that tension too, right? Blue neon flares from the dummy, steam venting as it boots up. The girl nods. Another lady nearby chuckles. This kid has serious guts. Most rookies totally freeze up facing a golem. Meet Young, a top-tier golem engineer. She is definitely intrigued by this random transfer student stepping up. Surem just flashes a sly smile. She knows he's hiding way more under the hood. Placing her coffee down, she finally kicks off the ultimate aptitude test. The massive golem winds up for a brutal strike. Xiaoang doesn't even flinch. Surem casually mentions this exam is normally meant for 6th or 7th year veterans. And that fancy suit captures every single micro-movement. It lets them push human physical limits to the absolute brink. Even with high-tech gear, separating raw natural talent from years of hard grinding is incredibly tough. She already knows Xiao Yang is built different, so maxing him out is gonna be tricky. Still, he should logically be running out of gas. Jung calls out to Siram in absolute disbelief. Was this seriously the same kid who failed a special academy entrance exam? Her mind is blown. With these insane stats, what the heck did he actually fail at? Even on easy mode, that golem is meant to crush professional fighters. A few clean dodges later, the main character reads its attack pattern and counter-strikes. Absolute madness. Running purely on raw instinct, he is already outclassing active pros. Saruman demands the data readouts. The result, mind-bending. Hungi hasn't even hit his ceiling yet. They have to crank up the difficulty. 1 or 2 gears won't cut it anymore. They need to redline this thing to maximum power. Jang panics, asking if Suram realizes the insane danger. Pushing an unregistered kid that hard is a straight-up felony, but otherwise, they'll never see his true power. Suram scrambles to find a loophole. Suddenly, a voice booms out, complaining this is way above his pay grade. She jumps, spinning around. Enter Director Zeke. He barks that nobody fires up this lab without official clearance. Suram freezes. It is her uncle. What is he even doing here on a Sunday? He glares, warning her there better be a damn good reason she is risking jail time today. Suram stands her ground, claiming full responsibility. It was her order. Zeke narrows his eyes, grilling her. Is she telling the truth or just shielding some low-level staffer? So what do you and I make of this? He reminds her her dad owns the place, not her. She can't just play hero. All right, stick with me here. The rumors about this director, completely true. He's her uncle, and he treats her like absolute garbage for literally no reason. It's the weekend, so other company adventurers are grinding in the facility too. This guy just keeps lecturing until Jaeyoung finally interrupts over the intercom. He casually asks if something's wrong up there. Zeke demands to know who's interrupting and if they're worth his time. An employee confirms he's Siram's friend. She explains he completely bombed his entrance exams and lost his registration, so he's here for a lifeline. The official process costs a fortune, so she's just trying to help her broke friend out. Zeke stares at the absolutely wrecked golem and takes a second to think. Then, he says he'll handle this personally. The employee is totally confused. Since the golem was way too weak and safe mode is locked, Zeke decides to head down and test this friend himself. Jaeyoung has zero clue what's coming. Now, it's pretty normal for adventurers to throw hands when they're trying to measure someone's absolute limits, but in this specific case, his opponent is on a completely different level. Zeke steps up and flat out skips the introductions. He has zero time to waste on this kid. Instantly, he realizes this guy is definitely not normal. He has no clue who he's fighting, but every single instinct is screaming danger. Zeke just tells him to bring it on. That weird guy from earlier was his first real fight, but this hits different. No matter how you slice it, this dude does not look like someone he can beat. Still, the second he gets the green light, he moves. He definitely doesn't need to worry about hurting Zeke, so Jaeyoung instantly starts cooking up a plan. Now watch closely here. He flares his aura and charges. Zeke doesn't even flinch, he just waits. Looks are deceiving. Zeke is Korea's 7th strongest ranker, a white-class adventurer. The protagonist can't find a single opening, but backing down isn't his style. If there's no opening, he'll literally force one. His game plan is super simple. The second Zeke dodges, he's planning a massive follow-up strike from behind. He wants to bait that dodge, but boom, Zeke catches his staff with just one hand. Yeah, that is not the outcome Jaeyoung wanted. Zeke is insanely strong, and even the director thinks this kid is way more reckless than he originally expected. Then with our MC wide open, Zeke absolutely drops him with a single kick. It is brutal. He crashes hard into the wall, but one thing still confuses Zeke. Did Jaeyoung pull that stunt because he knew it was just a test, or did he actually think it would work? Either way, Zeke thinks it was a total rookie mistake. He casually kicks the staff back to our protagonist. The kid is still awake, but losing his only weapon, even for a second, puts him on extremely high alert. So Zeke just lets him grab the staff. Up until this exact moment, he's actually been going pretty easy on the kid's terrible choices. But one more screw-up and Zeke swears he'll make Jaeyoung regret ever choosing this path. He shifts his weight into an attack stance. MC doesn't know why, but Zeke's hostility feels incredibly personal right now. Still, he refuses to let it shake him. He rushes right back in. Zeke expects the exact same predictable pattern, mostly because the setup looks completely identical. But Jaeyoung slams his foot down hard, instantly forcing Zeke to pay attention. 2 attacks are coming at the exact same time. That long-range strike was designed to catch him slipping, but it's still not enough. The protagonist realizes this guy isn't satisfied yet, which is totally fine because he's just getting warmed up. His staff lights up bright blue as he charges a massive attack. For the first time, even Zeke has no idea what's coming next. A crazy combo of attacks comes flying in. Flaring his own aura, Zeke admits it's actually not bad. He clenches his fists and flawlessly blocks every single incoming strike. I know what you're thinking, and the employee up top is just as shocked. This doesn't look like a test, it looks like two pros going all out, seeing this skill. It's insane to think this boy hasn't been scouted by any academy, but he's not perfect. Shame asks what she means by that. The employee points out one massive weakness that is holding him back. In that specific area, she adds, Samro is actually way better. This immediately makes Samron wonder what that fatal flaw could possibly be. From her angle, Shamron looks like he's holding his own against Zeke. Now she's dying to know what's wrong. Meanwhile, the MC barely dodges a massive punch that nearly wrecks his exposed face. The employee is watching with serious concern now. Jeryong has completely lost his momentum and is just taking hit after punishing hit. He is in sheer agony, his reaction speed dropping too low to defend, but he forces himself to swing back. With one wild strike of the staff, he finally pushes Zeke away. Zeke actually notices he kept a solid grip on his weapon at the last second. Impressive, but then, boom, Zeke's fist instantly buries itself right into the kid's stomach. Our boy gets launched right back into the wall. The director's power is unreal, and Soam can easily tell he is still holding back. She watches nervously as Zeke tells Jerong not to cry over losing. It was guaranteed anyway. But what really annoys Zeke is how pathetic MC's fighting style is. He doesn't even know the absolute basics. The employee completely agrees. Sure, his raw talent and reflexes are top tier, but his core foundation is garbage. It honestly looks like he hasn't formally trained a single day. Cheyenne is super disappointed. If Jerry Young had just learned the fundamentals early on, his potential would be off the charts. Soam remembers he once admitted that nobody ever taught him. Zeke casually says he's seen a million guys like that. Plenty of gifted rookies never bother polishing their skills, but Saw knows for a fact the protagonist isn't one of those lazy types. Zeke gives him zero credit and tells him to just quit. Relying purely on raw talent in this world will just get you killed, but the MC stands back up and snaps that Zeke is dead wrong. He's talking like the MC is just some lazy amateur, and it's seriously pissing him off. That actually catches Zeke off guard. His last hit was supposed to be the knockout blow. Jeryong yells that he doesn't care about winning or losing. He demands one more round to prove the results of his insane hard work. The employee up top is just wondering what is wrong with these guys. It's crazy that they still want to fight when they already have more than enough data on his potential. Even Siam tries to step in, yelling that they really don't need to keep pushing it. They can stop and check the results now, but Zeke says whatever trick he's planning, it won't change a single thing. He genuinely assumes the boy is just desperately looking for his praise. But nope, Jeryong is just absolutely furious, and right now, he really just wants to punch this smug elf right in the face. Nobody ever taught him a thing, meaning he had to literally figure this all out on his own, but it wasn't hopeless. He was born with insane talent that helped him skip past the fundamentals. And that's where we leave it for now. Add in his massive real battle experience, and he learned to adapt instantly. He leveled up fast, but never once thought he was invincible. Stick with me, let's dive into this madness. Usually, fake prodigies who end up being super weak let him down, but Zeke, he's completely different. Jeryong totally wants to smash this elf, but honestly, he knows he's fighting an absolute monster. Then he sees Zeke's crazy aura. Oh boy, the elf is serious now. Hitting a total brick wall just makes his blood boil with pure hype. Watching this madness, the employee completely loses it, wondering why the director joined this crazy brawl. Sariel spots the shift instantly. His base is totally different, throwing way more weight forward into his new stance. This isn't just a casual spar anymore. Jeryong takes a deep breath, gets set, and launches a massive attack. This time is different. His first strike hits incredibly hard. Zeke barely dodges, but the blade still nicks his cheek. The employee is absolutely stunned. Jeryong's whole fighting style just leveled up. Still, Zeke just keeps effortlessly sliding past every single hit. The moves are a bit rough compared to before, but those sloppy openings, completely gone. Whoever trained this kid is an absolute legend. Right now, our boy just wants to crush this elf. He flashes back to the ultimate badass he idolized growing up. He copied every single move that guy made. Getting tired of dodging, Zeke grabs the staff with one hand and launches a wild counterattack. Our guy barely blocks it. Back in the day, Jeryong copied his hero with pure hype. Now, he is literally facing the strongest dude he has ever fought. And Zeke is totally out to crush him too. Back then, his idol found the kid's hustle super interesting. Bam, Zeke actually lands a blow. The nostalgia hits hard. Zeke takes another wild swing, but Juryong barely slips through. Trusting his gut, he whips that staff right back around for a nasty counter. Way back, that legend just patted his head with pure respect. That counterstrike would have been brutal, forcing Zeke to literally jump out of the way. The exact second he lands, there is a tiny opening. Zeke knows attacking means he cannot dodge. Still, he is totally ready to give this kid an epic showdown. Now watch closely, this is where it gets absolutely insane. Since dodging is impossible, Zeke charges straight in. Everyone else is just completely speechless. Smoke blows across the arena. That was the final clash. Honestly, without that weird staff move, Zeke would have totally wrecked him in a longer fight. Zeke smirks and asks if that's just the kid's pride talking. Our main guy just smiles back. Nope, that was literally everything he managed to memorize so far. In the end, he caught an absolute beatdown, but Zeke actually admits it wasn't half bad. Zeke is super annoying and unpopular, but nobody questions his crazy good judgment. His skills are totally legit. He hovers a hand over Juryong's face and activates his crazy power. That glowing aura slowly ramps up. His niece looks super worried, but Zeke brushes it off. The kid is already healed. He just wants to know if his name is Yu. Zeke is literally a top 10 ranker in the entire country, and even he did not see this wild matchup coming today. Who knew he would bump into that legend's son here? Zeke is Korea's #1 healer after all. As the sun sets, some guy complains about Zeke being super late. They could have been chilling with coffee. Instead, they are totally gonna miss the briefing again, and somehow this dude always gets the blame for it. Zeke says stuff just took longer than expected. The young dude mentions he heard Zeke was actually dueling some random kid. I know what you're thinking, no way a kid touched him, right? But the dude freezes and spots a literal cut right on Zeke's cheek. Staring harder, his jaw drops. He stammers, asking if it is an actual cut. Zeke rolls his eyes, super annoyed, like what else would it be? The guy is still shook. He guesses the kid is maybe 16 and ready for school. Zeke corrects him. He is 17, aiming for warrior school this winter. That path is brutal. Literally nobody has passed in 3 years, but honestly, he's got a real shot. Scratching Zeke's face is absolutely no joke. This new generation is wildly scary. Zeke sighs, saying comparing anyone to elves is totally unfair, and the kid definitely isn't on this guy's level yet. Kang totally objects. As the rank 19 black class explorer and squad leader, he is super confident he still beats Juryong in pure talent and real combat experience. I mean, he's only 21 and graduated recently. Zeke just sighs loudly at the flexing and casually asks about his slick new ride. The guy brags that he finally treated himself to a car. Meanwhile, our main boy is literally still passed out on a stretcher. Eventually, he groggily sits up. Checking his hands, he realizes every single scrape is totally gone, plus he feels absolutely zero pain anywhere. The girl is so relieved he's awake. She asks if he seriously thought he could win that. Juryong shrugs, winning wasn't the point, he was just super triggered. Plus, the other dude totally started it, but she doesn't get why her uncle fought. Our guy finally asks if they are actually family, and yep, they are. He is her uncle on her mom's side. When Juryong goes dead silent, she gets curious. He brushes it off, saying they just seem really tight anyway. She literally has zero clue how he figured that out, but to him, it's obvious. He felt that pure protective uncle energy stepping up for his niece. She totally disagrees, claiming Zeke is not warm and fuzzy at all. He is incredibly strict. Suddenly, the staff member bursts in, shocked he is already awake. She asks if anything hurts, but he feels 100%. She nods, makes sense. Zeke's insane healing magic fixes even super old battle scars too. Crazy as it sounds, the director is the top healer nationwide. Juryong is absolutely floored. The dude hits like a truck, and fighting isn't even his main gig. He just cracks a smile at that. Well, she is super glad he survived. Plus, his test results are in, and they are completely amazing. An A in stamina and agility, a B in strength, and a C in intelligence. Checking the screen, Juryong wonders if that's actually a big deal. The girl tells him to shush, while the staff member questions if he's academy ready. Being a high-tier explorer means you desperately need balanced, solid B-rank stats. Because being insanely fast is totally useless if your stamina sucks, and crazy strength means absolutely zero if you cannot move well. So what do you and I take from this? The kid's a total freak. Most people max at C rank. Hitting those high stats is a 1 in 10,000 jackpot. Let's dive into this wild manhwa, where pushing stats to 1.5 million puts our guy right at the absolute top. Juring isn't just rocking a B in strength, he has A ranks in the other two. He's totally balanced and way above average. Even as a freshman, he is already on the exact same level as that literal monster. She then asks if he wants to hear something crazy. The guy he just battled doesn't have a single stat over A basically. Stats only show raw potential. They absolutely do not equal real combat skills. Hard training creates the real gap, but that is not everything. There are things tests just cannot measure, like pure fighting spirit and actual field experience. It sounds harsh, but she has seen tons of explorers completely make up for their weak spots with pure grit. Siren blushes hard, knowing that Comet was aimed right at her. Hearing all this, Jiang just thanks her, not upset or disappointed at all. He just does not get it yet because compared to a guy he knows, he's lagging behind. The staff member is totally shocked he knows a beast like that, super rare. Whoever it is must be crazy famous, and he admits that is pretty much true. Saram wraps things up for today, saying they will meet next week. But since they are already hanging around, the staff member suggests checking out the medicine production department. The girl hesitates though, totally worried her uncle might freak out. But the staff member says the director actually greenlit it. Saram is mind blown, asking if he seriously said that before taking off. Apparently his order was super simple. Once the kid wakes up, drag him to the equipment workshop. He also ordered everyone to treat this boy like a VIP guest, even crafting him a custom weapon regardless of the crazy cost. Now pay attention, this is huge. Saram is stunned. Top-tier gear is every adventurer's ultimate dream. Even if you're crazy gifted, trash gear cannot match your raw strength. As explorers get insanely strong, they desperately need equipment that keeps up. Hearing all this hype, he still has no clue what is happening. He wonders why he even needs gear just to attend school. But Saram says he has the totally wrong idea, since he assumes the school just hands out free equipment. That leaves them completely speechless. Saram knows this wild misunderstanding is on her, since at a regular school he'd be right. Each spot has strict rules for what gear students use. Yujir Yang figures the warrior school provides it since they are loaded with resources. Jung explains it is not about money. Securing good equipment is an actual skill. That is exactly why students bring their own gear. He argues that only helps rich kids, asking if having cash is a skill now. He is not exactly wrong, but even completely broke students can score top-tier equipment. Just getting accepted means a student has the insane talent to become a top explorer, maybe even a superstar, and that crazy potential naturally attracts rich investors. Companies quickly scout students because backing them is huge business. The offers are absolutely massive since these are giant corporations. She actually snagged a Jinsong Group scholarship, complete with a guaranteed job until she retires. Without even looking surprised, he listens as she adds that this is the massive opportunity the school opens up. He will get plenty of chances to flex on the other students, but first he must pass the exam. The transfer test is way harder than the entrance one, so he better be ready. And grabbing epic equipment is part of that prep. That is exactly why the director wanted to help, since she already passed the message along. All he has to do is head straight down to the basement refinery. She wishes him luck getting in. He casually mentions things could have gone badly, and Sam asks how. His answer, he never expected her uncle to help out this much. The more he hears about this wild test, the more it sounds like people will do literally anything to pass. That is exactly why she wants to help, even if she drops her own cash. That smug look on his face totally annoys her every time. Still, he is glad to hear it because money alone is not enough. The person actually crafting the gear matters too, and this company's equipment division, easily one of the absolute best in the entire world. You and I both know gear matters, right? Reaching the forge, he doubts it makes a difference, but what he sees instantly changes his mind. This forge is absolutely massive, built straight inside a former dungeon called the Bubbling Abyss, so asks his thoughts. He realizes you don't just casually ask for gear here, and a cold chill runs right down his spine. Suddenly, a massive giant figure looms right behind them. the boy instantly spins around, fully ready to throw down. The giant grumbles that Zeke ruined his weekend nap and did not even bother showing up to the forge himself. Tyrion asks if this thing is a monster, but Serum says no. He is the head of the equipment division, though Tyrion is not completely wrong. He is Argus, an ancient titan, basically a monster by human standards but naturalized in Korea through special rites. Lighting a cigar, Argus grunts, asking which human Zeke was hyping up. Is it this tiny kid or the elf's little niece? She says the info was already sent over, but Argus totally brushes it off. Digital records are a weak human thing, and he literally could not care less. His staff usually handles that, but it is their day off. Still, none of that matters. Since Zeke personally asked him to handle this, he says it is time to begin. He points at the boy's weapon, asking if that staff is his main gear. Jirian says yes. Argus immediately dares the kid to hunt him, so tenses up, totally freaking out over what he's doing. Argus bluntly says this is exactly how his kind judges people. If the kid cannot prove his strength, he won't even bother making the gear. Still, he admits the kid feels totally different. Sharp eyes, used to hunting with raw killing intent that can be honed. He demands again, try to beat me. Sir stays completely on edge while Jirian preps. She warns Argus that he never refuses a crazy challenge like this. Instantly, the Titan's eye flies wide open. The boy has already moved in. He swings the staff with insane skill and raw power. While Serene watches nervously, the brutal impact knocks Argus' cigar right to the ground. Even the Titan finds that unbelievable. Completely unhurt, he demands to know where the kid got that weapon. That totally throws Jirian off because he knows that strike landed perfectly clean. Sure, there are monsters he cannot one-shot, but hitting this Titan felt like smashing into a massive steel wall, not just tough but lifeless. Now he really wants to know what kind of absolute monster he just attacked. There's another huge reason Sar is totally shaken up. Monsters are strictly ranked by stars. 1-star monsters are already dangerous enough to wipe out humans, though a normal armed person can manage. At 2 stars, the danger spikes, needing trained pros with guns. 3 stars are infinitely worse. So what do you and I take from this? 4 stars is a total walking disaster where armies just run, and things here are about to get totally wild. Alright, stick with me here. Artillery and bombs can only do so much. That's the military's absolute limit. Anything above 5 stars, it completely wrecks modern armies. Even if they win, everything turns to rubble. That's why elite explorer teams step in. Argus, a massive 7-star monster, asks his question again. Where did this kid get his hands on that weapon? Jirian wonders if his strike hurt more than expected, totally confused by the pressure. Argus warns him to think very carefully because he's the original creator of that staff. Jirian is completely stunned. Getting annoyed, Argus says he'll ask once more. Why's Jirian holding a weapon made for someone else? If Argus forged it, that staff is top tier and should be officially registered with the association, owner and location included. A regular smuggler absolutely can't get an item like this. He refuses to believe it was stolen. But Jirian refuses to explain, claiming he owes them nothing. Sarum calls that super dumb and Argus agrees. Now he'll judge the boy. Right then, Jirian is staring death in the face. 0 ways to dodge, no clear blocks, and not a single weakness in the monster's grip. Taking a direct hit equals instant death, so only one option remains. His dad's ultimate technique. Argus spots the shift but still swings down. When 2 forces clash head-to-head, the bigger one always wins. But angles and timing change everything. Now pay attention, this is wild. With perfect angle and timing, even impossible odds shift as force gets redirected. Sir is stunned he dodged a 7-star beast while Argus waits. Jirian knows his only shot is stabbing that giant eyeball, but before he even gets close, the massive prosthetic hand of the Titan snatches him. It pulls him right up to its terrifying face. Then she jumps in, shouting that looking suspicious doesn't give Argus the right to attack humans. He better remember the rules. Naturalized monsters can't attack humans unless it's a total emergency. Otherwise, they become hostile targets and lose everything. Argus drops the kid and tells her to chill. He knows the rules perfectly. Plus, he finally figured out why the boy has his custom staff. That's exactly why Zeke woke him up. He says sorry, admitting the boy has full rights to that gear, and promises to make amends. Then his giant eye locks onto something else. Nobody has managed to injure him in 30 years. Serum is completely lost right now. Argus asks if they know why he even works with humans. She assumes it's because the attack squad hunted him down 30 years ago. He finds it hilarious that humans spin the story that way. They never touched him. One single guy hunted him. That absolute legend chopped off his hand and could have killed him, but spared his life. The boy stares and Argus stares right back. He's always been an unbelievably powerful beast. Back then, he was hyped to fight that axe-wielding hunter, the boy's dad. Ancient titans are the ultimate giants. Nobody knows how long they live and less than 10 exist. Their raw strength is just completely insane. They're legendary for crafting crazy, overpowered gear and artifacts. It's totally in their blood. Dwarves are similar, but they actually chose to live with humans. I know what you're thinking. Titans viewed humans as absolute trash. Then 30 years ago, the entire mission against Argus went completely sideways. A massive 4-star automaton colossus guarded the forge entrance. Someone asked if the base link was still down. All magic comms were totally dead. Something was jamming their signal hard. Suddenly, someone screamed to brace for a heavy attack. The colossus went all out against the intruders. The shield guy planted his feet, blocking the hit with everything. Meanwhile, the girl slipped behind the machine for a quick strike. She had to hit it before it vanished. Her swing was flawless, but the helmet deflected it. Worst case scenario right there. Her blade did absolutely nothing against that insane armor. Seeing an opening, the automaton countered. Its massive shield smashed into her, sending her flying straight into a solid wall. Things were looking terrible. Yik's squad was hyped as top-tier dungeon clearers, but down in this bubbling abyss, they were getting completely and totally wiped out. They'd smashed 7 colossi, but another spawned every single time. If the second team was struggling this bad too, it was game over. Knowing they were cooked, the tank yelled to retreat. Surviving this mess was basically impossible now. Mid-sentence, the machine swung again. But the young guy snapped his shield up and blocked. His skill burns energy to max out physical stats, leaving him completely drained afterwards. Catching the blade on his shield, he popped a push skill, throwing the bot off balance. He knew if his boss burned that power now, they'd be screwed. Still, he already knew they might not make it out alive. They couldn't win, but stalling was definitely an option. With a little insane luck, they might just survive. Then a terrifying aura dropped. Argus demanded to know who invaded his forge. At that exact second, they knew they were dead. He treated them like bugs, amazed any roaches survived his robot guards. His mere presence was pure nightmare fuel. Their boss screamed one last time to run, then charged Argus with his final remaining strength. He just wanted to buy his team a few precious seconds, but the Titan completely vaporized him into ash with one single strike. They were total garbage compared to him. Weak bodies, trash gear. A world run by weaklings was doomed anyway. Then he spotted the last guy standing, a shaking mage gripping his staff. Argus found his stubborn loyalty mildly amusing, but knew it changed nothing. The boy knew he was toast against something his boss couldn't scratch. Suddenly, a new guy walked up, casually mentioning his warnings. If they'd just gathered solid intel first, they could have actually prepared. Rushing a dungeon clear is super dumb. The kid had zero clue who this was. He says the association caught their distress call, so he arrived for rescue. And trust me, you and I will love what happens next. You and I are about to watch absolute madness. The kid couldn't believe this guy showed up alone right as the metal beast attacked him. Boom, a massive crash shook the whole forge. The kid was terrified, but the guy just casually called the monster tough. Back then, Yusa was a total nobody. But get this, he casually sliced the monster's arm clean off. A few veteran explorers recognized him, but he honestly couldn't care less about fame. He only cared about saving lives. That day flipped the script. Yusa stepped up and with one single swing, chopped the machine right in half. That insane strength immediately grabbed Argus's attention. Locking eyes, Yushia knew this boss was trouble, and man, that day put him on the map forever. Just the shockwave from his hit literally shifted the dungeon's lighting. The mage was absolutely speechless. Their whole squad was losing to one giant, and this dude just one-shot it. Yuneng then casually asked the mage for leftover mana. Just enough for a blessing, he replied. Yuneng passed on that, asking for a levitation spell instead. He told the mage to float the two injured guys out of there while they were still breathing. Argus actually laughed at the disrespect. Did this puny human seriously think he'd survive? But Yuang didn't flinch. He promised Argus wouldn't touch them while he was breathing. The Titan snapped, charging with full power, but Yuang perfectly parried him. His aura was off the charts. Their weapons clashed and the dungeon literally quaked. The escaping mage looked back in pure terror. 10 years in, adventurers hit a massive skill wall. Sure, they had superhuman stats and crazy high-tier gear custom-made for their builds. But all those raw stats couldn't hide their garbage combat sense. The real fix, actual human growth. A martial art totally shattering logic. People doubted it early on, but eventually started mastering the moves. And yeah, Argus took a hit. His heavy armor ate the first attack, but Yun went right back in swinging. He was an absolute master of this insane fighting style. The mage smiled, thinking it was over, but watch closely here because things flip fast. Argus smirked, admitting this guy actually knew how to fight. If that cheap weapon could handle half his power, the battle would be totally different. The axe blade was already melting from the crazy impact. Yun was broke and kept trashing his normal weapons, but glancing back, he breathed a huge sigh of relief. The rescue targets were basically safe. He just needed to survive. Argus swung his flaming sword, and Yuneng blocked it perfectly with his axe handle. The Titan actually praised his epic dodges and blocking skills, but to a boss like him, Yang's weapon was absolute garbage tier. Sure, his defense was godlike, but the weapon was literally crumbling. Gearing up for a final strike, Argus claimed victory. Yusong not even scared. Boom, the weapons slammed together with wild energy. Instead of dodging, Yuang took the massive hit head-on, using the technique's brutal first form. It's a crazy skill Yuzhi Yang would eventually master to reflect damage back, but right now, in terms of raw power and clean execution. His dad was on a completely different level. The counterattack was so insanely heavy it forced the Titan backward. Absolute peak hero material right there. Argus figured everyone knew the legend of the hero who won, but honestly, that one strike literally killed the violent monster living inside Argus. From then on, his life belonged to Yang, who spared him. One lone rescuer did what an entire elite raid group couldn't. Pretty wild ending, huh? You and I both know Titans don't ever bow, yet Argus willingly accepted exile under human control. Insane, right? Cyphrome completely remembered it since it shocked the globe back then. Argus even got citizenship since he technically hadn't murdered anybody. Still, he had to pay for his dungeon crimes, so they made him craft gear as payback, but this story didn't match the rumors. Then Arja dropped a bomb. That staff Jurion carried was actually a custom gift meant for his dad. Yun never asked, but the Titan respected him. The MC always thought it was just a heavy stick, so he never sold it. Totally useless, right? Well, Argus basically admitted he wasn't wrong. Honestly, it was only useful for smashing enemies with raw strength. That threw them off, and Sai couldn't believe they almost pawned legendary gear. Argusa chuckled, saying the answer was obvious. Did his dad ever even swing it? He wanted to craft a full axe once the blade materials arrived, but Yun vanished completely. Trapped inside the dungeon, the Titan just shipped the unfinished handle straight to Jerong's old man. He honestly figured he'd never get to finish the masterpiece, but hey, fate is funny. He looked at the MC and asked for the unfinished weapon back. He would finally finish it, not for the father but the son. While the Titan worked, they headed back up. Saram kept staring at the MC, super curious after that massive lore drop. She asked if he was okay. He brushed it off, saying the Titan just seemed worried. Jaeyoung had no clue how long it'd take, but Argasa was rushing it. Still, he reminded them that god-tier gear takes serious time. Since Wednesday was an off day, Saram totally asked him out on a study date for the written exam. He casually agreed, thinking it sounded helpful. Walking back, she couldn't hold it in anymore. She told him his dad must have been an absolute legend. She never guessed he was the actual hero. Dodging the compliment, Jarim just said he was going home to crash and they'd talk later. Driving home, she instantly started digging online. And boom, the official story was a total lie. Everything she was taught in school was wrong. Argus's story lived rent-free in her head. The raid team stole the fame, but a lone adventurer did the actual heavy lifting. The Titan's story is impossible to ignore, and seeing Jirion's insane stats, it totally makes sense his dad was legendary. Dungeons are basically built on lies, so what do you and I take from all this? Even top-ranked fake dragon slayers eventually crash when their blackmail gets exposed. Stick with me here. After getting injured, he confessed, and online articles are still breaking this wild thing down. That just left her completely clueless on what to believe. Then boom, practical exam results drop. At the dungeon department, a staff member gets some thanks. Professor Chu apologizes for keeping Kang busy all weekend. Kang totally gets it. Freshmen matter, so he has to watch them closely. She admits the department is super intense. Teaching is tough, but this freshman class, way more gifted than she ever was. Then she asks if he honestly expected that specific student to snag first place. Kang honestly admits he didn't. Results like that are unpredictable. Meanwhile, Sarum just stares at the rankings, completely mind-blown. A bunch of names are packed near hers, and get this, they're all hybrids. First up is DF Choi. He inherited sword skills from his white-class explorer dad and magic from his elf mom, the ultimate magic swordsman. Second place goes to Anisha. Her mana control is off the charts, beating even pure-blooded elves. She's got top-tier mage potential written all over her. Last up is a guy born to a human and a dwarf. He's got insane dwarven strength and durability, perfectly mixed with human speed and crazy reflexes. This absolute unit is Terval Velkason, famous for having the strongest physique on Earth, and he goes here. Honestly, he's just as talented as the other two heavyweights. Any of them should have grabbed first place, so it's wild to think she soloed this. Maybe the physical exam seriously boosted her final score. But raw strength can't explain everything here. That's exactly why she wants him stepping up. He has major leader energy, but right now, the guy completely avoids getting close to anyone. And the other students are way too nervous to approach him. Still, nobody can go far completely solo, and he'll definitely figure that out by his second year. Kang says she totally doesn't need to stress over that. Sometimes people change super quietly and everyone misses the signs. He knows she genuinely cares about every single student. But trusting him is better than worrying. He'll figure it out. 4 days pass and the holiday finally hits. Now pay attention, this part is gold. Some guys are gossiping, but one bumps into a giant. He turns to complain, then completely freezes at the size of this absolute beast. The massive dude just calmly apologizes, saying he spaced out and didn't even notice them. Honestly, that just terrifies them more, so they frantically apologize back. Afterward, he spots dirt on his shirt and just thinks his luck is absolute trash today. But honestly, he just really misses his mom since Yubin moved all the way to Europe. Even though she was a successful Korean hunter, she'd tell her son epic stories from her explorer days. That totally made him admire Korea and its awesome culture. With his crazy natural talent, he aced a special transfer exam to get into the warrior school. The major problem, he's just painfully shy. He wants to chat with classmates but fears getting mocked for his broken Korean. Honestly, he hates being this awkward. Seeing him looking uncomfortable, those guys apologize for being loud. They don't even realize he isn't annoyed, they're just terrified of him. So entirely by accident, he's turned into a total loner. Then he spots 2 guys nearby casually chatting. They're heading to a PC bang. He suddenly remembers his mom talking about gaming at spots exactly like that. Inside, it's basically empty. He has zero clue what to do, while a guy nearby is loudly chatting on his phone. He tries using a self-service kiosk to log in, but just standing there spikes his anxiety. He starts feeling like a massive roadblock and considers just bailing completely. Especially since he's flying solo. Suddenly, a younger dude jumps in, guessing he doesn't have an account yet. He explains that machine is only for signed-up members, pointing him to a different one. Then he totally steps up to show him the ropes. Just punch in your basic info, handle the payment at the next machine, and grab any open computer. The giant dude sincerely thanks him, and Jarong brushes it off as nothing. He just figures the guy is a foreigner who's completely unfamiliar with the spot. Honestly though, Jarong's mostly just killing time waiting for Siam. She's super late. If she was on time, or if he hit the black market first, he could have finally appraised that weird black object he found in the jelly chest. He still has absolutely zero clue what it is. It feels weirdly smooth, but it's definitely not something you'd eat. Since he couldn't identify it at all, he decided to just stash it away. If he's truly desperate for cash, selling the item within Kill's blood makes way more sense. Let that sink in for a second. This blood is from one of the Agar Forest's 3 great disasters. Elite raid teams failed for decades to drop it, making even a tiny drop absolutely, insanely priceless. The government fully banned hunting it, meaning gear crafted from its materials sells for an absolute fortune. He was supposed to grab lunch with Siam, then hit the black market tonight, but her delay completely wrecked the plan. Suddenly, the foreigner mentions there are no other seats and plops right down next to his helper. He tells Jerong to sit down too, since he's clearly done waiting around. Our MC grabs the seat and logs in, but honestly nothing catches his eye. Plus, his gaming rig back at home is way better anyway. Then he notices the game running on the next screen. He asks the foreigner if he plays Heroes of Chaos. He totally does, and their levels are actually super close. With Jeryong's usual squad offline, the big guy invites him to queue together. They can definitely grind some ranked matches. Surrounding Su are completely ruined dead zones known as scars. During the invasion, entire cities got wiped. Humanity reclaimed some, but spots too close to dungeons stayed totally abandoned. Now, those wastelands act as humanity's solid second line of defense. Historically, there has literally never been a case of monsters breaking past those walls on their own. They even use a transport system to move them. One guard completely despises this gig. While his buddies make bank hunting, he's stuck acting like an Uber for literal monsters. Cho bluntly tells him if he hates it so badly, he should just quit and hit the field again. She used to be an elite gold-class explorer before a nasty eye injury permanently benched her. Now she asks why he even sticks around. Sun Woo, a lowly bronze-class adventurer, confesses he's just desperate for cash since he can barely get drafted onto any decent teams anymore. Saying that out loud seriously bruises his fragile ego. Suddenly, things go totally sideways, forcing the truck to a dead stop. Wait, the monster couldn't have actually broken out right. She hops out, ordering him to radio in a routine inspection stop. Then she confidently marches off to handle business. Back inside the cab, he nervously starts typing out the dispatch message. He's definitely sweating, but his partner is a total pro, so he convinces himself she'll handle it. Suddenly, the door pops open. He instantly readies a compliment for her quick work. But a totally different woman steps in, mocking Chona's decent reflexes and questioning why she was benched. So what do we make of this? Trust me, what happens next is pure madness. Stick with me here, you are about to watch pure chaos unfold. The woman checks the names, glaring at the driver. Why is he just standing there? If he wants to survive, he better drive. Meanwhile, Jerong and the foreigner are crushing it, and their food hits the table at the exact perfect moment. Our main character never guessed they were the exact same age. The dude didn't even look older, just completely jacked. So Jerong asks what school he goes to, but man, he gets zero response. Out of nowhere, the vibe completely shifts. The whole ground violently shakes. People start freaking out, wondering if it is an earthquake, but honestly, it feels way more like a massive nearby explosion. Everyone starts panicking and guessing. A massive truck crashed hard. Maybe the driver was completely hammered. Some guy whips out his phone to record while someone yells to call the cops. Up on a rooftop, a girl casually mutters that it should have crashed closer to the main downtown area. Pro explorers are gonna swarm the spot soon, but she figures she can still dip out. Her bosses are already demanding she retreat immediately. Right then, monsters absolutely flood out of the wrecked truck. She woke them up. The nosy crowd instantly regrets sticking around. Listen, horn horrors are a massive threat solo. But in a pack, straight-up nightmare fuel. Peeking down, she counts 50 people and decides to enjoy the show. 100 might drop before backup even shows up. One random guy gets grabbed by the head and dropped instantly, while others completely freeze up. The beasts just go absolutely feral with so much fresh prey right in front of them. Then a bright blue glow cuts the chaos. Jerong is here. His kick absolutely obliterates the first monster's ugly face. The whole crowd is just left totally stunned. He folds the beast like laundry, completely locked in on stopping the horde before anyone else dies. Without even looking back, he screams at the crowd to run for their lives. He has battled these things before. The single horn types, honestly, they are a total breeze. Now pay attention, things are about to get wild. Something like a motorcycle rushes him. He barely dodges, then he gets a good look at it, a brutal two-horn horror. As the beast charges, Sha Yang counters with a massive kick, but the impact feels completely wrong, forcing him to slide right back. These freaks only live 5 or 6 years, usually dying before popping a second horn. Only 8% survive to breed. When they do, their stats skyrocket past normal limits. Still, no matter its speed or power, he can totally take it down. But his foot is throbbing hard. The real issue here, their insane defense is off the charts. They are literally 3 or 4 times tankier than that wannabe hero from earlier. Man, if only he brought his actual high-tier weapons. The beast lunges at him again. Jerong sidesteps clean, noticing the crazy crater the strike left. He dashes back, fixes his stance, and hypes himself up for round 2. This freak is not backing down. Our boy scans the street, spotting a busted stop sign. He forcefully stomps it flat, yanking the metal pole free for a makeshift staff. Absolutely livid, the beast rushes in. Jerong flares his aura, bracing hard. Finally armed, he grips that pole tight and locks entirely in on the target. The beast stomps down way harder than expected. That crazy burst of momentum launches it right over his head. He totally misread that. Oh no, it is flying straight toward helpless civilians. They are completely frozen in terror. The beast dives at them like an all-you-can-eat buffet. The power gap between a 2-star and 3-star beast is huge. Both already completely outclass normal humans. Regular folks basically just get one-shotted by these things. I know what you are thinking, they are toast, right? But watch this. The massive foreigner literally catches the beast's punch bare-handed. He is totally down for a brawl, pushing the freak back with just one hit. This is the exception. Guys who grind their stats so high, they basically become monsters. The horror rips its claws through the asphalt to stop sliding. The big guy won the push, but he knows raw fists won't deal any real critical damage here. Then something shifts. The beast screams a crazy roar right in his face, totally blind to Jerong creeping up behind it with the metal pole. Using a killer skill, he stabs a brutal strike straight into its neck. Even the big guy is left completely speechless. The beast instantly drops dead. A clean hole punched right through. Yang exhales a huge breath of relief. Suddenly, a massive noise makes him snap around and the foreigner looks too. A massive explosion rocks the block. In just 60 seconds, this horde wrecked the street. The foreigner mutters that backup is still minutes away. This ambush came completely out of left field, and innocents are dropping while they chat. But Sunk has a taunt skill ready, the classic tank move. It is literally a super loud shout that forces aggro from every monster nearby, since he wants the pro life. He steps up to tank the whole mob until rescue drops in. He tells Jerong to hide. He is not dragging a total stranger into this suicide mission. They literally just gamed together for a few hours, but our boy tells him to just pop the skill already. If he has aggro skills, he is definitely a tank. Sulk warns him it is super risky, but Jerong smirks. He was gonna solo this anyway. Honestly, if he was alone, maybe he would pause, but he tells Sulk he is an elite gamer, especially at playing support. He is aiming for the pro adventure life too. If they fight, he is going all out. Chatting time is officially over. Time to move. A convenience store is completely trashed with someone cowering under the register. Right outside, a beast just claimed another victim. Suk readies his taunt. Inside the shop, the monster drops its prey and starts violently shredding the counter to grab the survivor. Suddenly, Siok's massive shout explodes. The roar echoes everywhere, instantly locking the monster's aggro. It freezes, completely sparing the terrified victim. Even the shady girl up high hears the massive skill pop. Now she is genuinely interested in the chaos below. After dropping his taunt, Siok breathes heavy and squares up, totally ready for the storm. It takes like 0 seconds for the horde to swarm the noise. The alpha points right at him, and the single horn grunts rush in first. He plants his feet locked in, but wait, a noise from above. A sneaky freak dives right at his blind spot. Amazingly, he still guards the hit. That cheap shot does 0 damage. With his free hand, he channels pure aura, smacking the beast into orbit, but he cannot drop his guard just yet. More beasts swarm in, ready to jump him. The big bosses notice too, and trust me, you are gonna want to see Jerong dropping from the sky next. Alright, stick with me here. He touches down, spotting 2 double-horned beasts near that wrecked truck, and the horrific truth suddenly clicks into place. These freaks were literally stockpiling bodies inside it. That explains the empty streets. and right on cue, both horned monsters lock their eyes on him. Our boy waits for them to close the gap, taking these things on point blank with zero gear. Yeah, terrible odds. Plus, if they bunch up too much right now, they'll totally just trip over each other. So Seo plays the tank, pulling the weaker aggro. Jerong is already right in the strike zone. Boom, he makes his move. His absolute only job, crush the strongest beast. He's the pure damage dealer. Raising his makeshift staff, he flashes past the monster so insanely fast, the thing doesn't even feel the impact yet. A brutal string of marks paints its body. This random pole is absolute garbage compared to a needle. With his actual staff, this fight would look completely different. Using this basic junk, his damage is totally capped, but he keeps pushing hard anyway. It's super sketchy, but they actually still have a shot. He flashes back to throwing down barehanded against Zeke. Those lightning-fast, heavy hits didn't one-shot him, but they definitely drained him down. Meanwhile, this ugly beast is already swinging again. Jerong launches a blazing fast combo to push it back. Knowing that's not nearly enough to drop it, he slickly dodges right past its counterattack. One single slip-up right here equals game over. He flashes out another counter. Yeah, it's crazy dangerous, but this is exactly the kind of hardcore moment he needs to level up. He has to totally capitalize and win with the junk he's holding. Suddenly, another beast charges in. Right then, he visualizes Zeke's epic footwork from their clash and perfectly mirrors that exact same movement. Since his dad, Zeke, was literally the strongest guy he knew, channeling that exact energy helps him instantly sharpen up his fourth skill. His staff just absolutely rains punishment down on the monster. After that insane barrage, the beast faceplants hard, but then grab, another one completely snags his foot. High alert mode activated. It violently body slams him, literally shattering the concrete, and Jerong immediately coughs up blood. Fighting a 2-on-1 is just brutal. Unfair doesn't matter, he has to survive. This is monster hunting, rules do not exist here. But right before he gets crushed, the tank charges in and completely blasts the beast away. Now check this out, for the tank, dumb luck is a valid skill. Meanwhile, these bystanders filming on their phones are totally speechless. These guys wiped out dozens of monsters completely gearless. Dong Yun is losing his mind. He got the whole epic fight on video. His buddy quickly roasts him, saying he only stayed because his legs froze in fear. Ken is just desperately wondering who these legends actually are. Looking at that insane combat, they actually seem younger than the bystanders. They've gotta be gold-level hunters, maybe some elite warrior school students or wild rookies. Nobody has a clue, but whatever, he's uploading that clip ASAP and telling his bro to whip up a hype thumbnail. This crazy story is gonna go viral, and he is absolutely cashing in on those millions of views. Completely gassed, the foreigner realizes a rescue squad should have been here ages ago. But nope, at the end of the day, it was just these two Chads holding the line. Jerry Yang apologizes for totally ruining the guy's dramatic pose, but he seriously needs a pull-up off the pavement. Finally, the two heroes shake hands. They are completely dead on their feet. When asked if he's all good, he just laughs. Not at all, couple of cracked bones maybe, but honestly, way better than ending up as monster snacks. The foreigner is totally blown away that Jerong soloed two double-horned beasts, but our guy throws the respect right back. His new bro fought 9 monsters and still jumped in. The foreigner just shrugs it off, claiming his kills were only 2-star tier anyway. Since they're vibing now, he casually asks what school the main character goes to. He heard the local academies were honestly pretty trash. Then he panic apologizes, realizing he might have just totally insulted the guy's school to his face. He basically just figured he went to the elite warrior school too. Instead of dropping his school name, Jerong spins it around, asking his new buddy about his rank and competition. The foreigner admits he has absolutely no clue. He's a total loner, and even after official testing, he doubts their power scaling was accurate, if he really had to guess. Probably dead average. Right now, his brain is mostly focused on helping his elf friend. But hold up, there's still one massive loose end left. He asks if that last ugly beast plans to camp on top of the truck forever. Since the tank's taunt totally failed on it, this one acts different. But honestly, he doubts it's the actual final boss. The truck is literally painted in blood, meaning there is definitely something hiding inside. And yeah, that is probably the real nightmare. You and I both know it's never that easy, right? He figures they can handle this one straggler. But then, a deafening crash erupts from the truck as the whole thing starts violently shaking. Boom, a massive hand busts straight through the roof hole. The boys are completely caught slacking as something violently yanks that monster right back inside the wagon. Its claws wildly scrape the metal, but whatever is in that dark box is straight up eating it alive. These horned horrors operate in big tribal groups. The double-horned beasts act as chiefs, running small packs of under 10. Since they're basically fodder and the dungeons are pure hell, these tiny tribes group up just to stay alive. Sitting at the bottom of the food chain, apex predators usually farm them, but every once in a while, a mutant drops with a third horn, and guys, that is no normal leader. That is a literal king commanding thousands of beasts. A horned horror king sits at a solid 5-star threat level. It instantly locks onto the boys, and their survival instincts absolutely scream. With barely a flick of its wrist, the king blasts a massive attack, forcing an immediate double dodge. Then, moving at godlike speed, it teleports right on top of Jerong. Dodge now or get deleted. The monster drops a strike so devastating, it completely shatters his makeshift staff into pieces. The hit rips straight through his block, crashing deep into his gut. Before he can even breathe, the king launches a lethal kick, but boom, Chulking intercepts, catching the absolute beast in a wild body lock. The beast's feet literally shred the pavement as Chulking violently bulldozes it backward, but the hype dies fast. The king effortlessly catches him with both hands. It casually lifts the tank like a literal feather. Then the king spike slams Chulking into the concrete, blasting open a massive crater. Right now, they are completely out of time. These two are absolute prodigies destined for greatness. Just, maybe not today, because despite all their flashy skills, the power gap against this 5-star monster is just way too massive. Spitting blood, Jerong forces himself up and screams at it to back off. The king slowly turns, a terrifying red aura flaring up for the kill shot, with zero defense left. Our hero takes the devastating blow straight to the face, and the beast pauses, looking totally satisfied. But suddenly, it senses an aura on the battlefield way more terrifying than a king. So where does that leave us? Night fell, and Yang is betrayed in a hospital bed, but just the sheer memory of his presence has this monster completely terrified. Stick with me here, guys. No one can totally explain what Yuzong left behind. 11 years ago, this dude just suddenly stepped in front of the press. He owned up to every single crime and begged for forgiveness. That confession shook the entire planet, but 12 hours before this epic fight, Serum was still totally confused. What she found out that Sunday totally took over her brain. For days, she snooped around Jerong's dad, desperately trying to see if he was set up. She knew haters would kill for the spot of a powerless former number one, but the way this whole case played out, super weird. First came the accusations, then victim statements, and it just kept snowballing. Fans were totally split. Since he was an absolute legend, the fake claims didn't instantly wreck his reputation. If Serum was in his shoes, she would have fought back hard, but Yuang, complete opposite. He completely gave up and accepted every single charge. After that crazy press conference, even his hardcore fans bailaid. Overnight, he went from hero to absolute liar. She just couldn't wrap her head around why. If someone forced his hand, confessing just made it worse. She might be the only one who noticed, but his expression looked totally off. He didn't look like a framed man, he looked like someone taking a punishment. Then, boom, something wilder. His records showed literally zero family. That made her wonder if Jaeyoung was his kid. Still, it made more sense the main character just wasn't registered. Especially since they basically looked like twins. Maybe Yuning took the fall because he was involved. Meanwhile, our boy had zero clue what was happening to his body. Now watch this part. He stared at his hands, something clicked. The beast rushed him in pure rage, pushing hard, knowing it had to kill the boy right then. Staring down death, Jaeyoung realized one epic thing. His body could still move. With picture-perfect timing, he absolutely smashed that monster right in the face. That's all he needed. He could move. So he went all out to wreck this beast, comboing skill after skill into an absolute non-stop beatdown. The pressure was insane. The beast tried everything to block and back away from Jerong's crazy barrage, but our boy wasn't about to let it escape. The monster fired back, but despite its massive aura, it was just way too slow. And then, boom, it sprang its hidden trap. It was already airborne, striking from point-blank range, but the result left it totally shook. The hit did zero damage to our boy, and he countered with a savage kick. The blast sent the beast crashing straight through a building. Jarong knew the fight wasn't over yet, but those last 2 hits, they gave him the perfect opening. A clean, beautiful needle strike right to the chin. In this hyped-up state, he could definitely pull it off, but suddenly, that freaky aura just vanished into thin air. Talk about terrible timing. The monster dragged its ugly mug out of the crater right as Jaeyoung felt all his awesome power drain completely away. Now he had nothing left to stop the next strike. As the beast charged, it noticed too late, a whole truck container was dropping onto its head. It took the hit, but hey, explorers have different roles for a reason. Everyone's got a specific job, and honestly, that container alone wasn't stopping this boss. Totally furious, it rushed straight at Chulking. Dodging wasn't an option, so he braced hard and tanked the hit. The smash was absolutely brutal, but as the squad's tank. Even half dead, he stood his ground. That's literally his job. He was way past his limits, but even then. His insane durability bought them precious seconds, giving Jarong the perfect window to unleash his ultimate move. The monster knew it was completely boxed in. His aura-charged fist rocketed up in a flawless uppercut, completely shattering the creature's chin. That's the DPS doing his job. When the dust cleared, the beast was totally wrecked, jaw pulverized. Crazy, right? And you know what started this mess? A stolen monster transport truck, causing dozens of innocent casualties. Classic timing, the rescue squad only showed up after the fight. The news went viral worldwide, and these 2 kids were instantly hyped up as literal heroes. Cababalino watches the clip, completely mind-blown. Meanwhile, Jaeyoung gets a flashback to being a scraped-up little kid getting bandaged. His dad told him even tiny cuts need care or they get way worse. The protagonist asked if his dad ever hurt since he was always bleeding fighting monsters. His dad replied yeah, he felt pain and totally got scared too, but he masked it like a boss because his real job was keeping everyone else perfectly safe. When Jarong was little, he wanted to be exactly like his old man. But man, one thought always bugged him. He knew his dad hated that lifestyle for him. Whenever they talked, his dad looked totally bummed out and told him to pick another career path. Maybe that's why he never wanted the main character to become an explorer, though he never really explained why. Jarong figured he'd get it eventually. Now, he'd literally never know. He opened his eyes to a weird ceiling, yet it felt oddly familiar. Then, someone beside him asked if those words were meant for him. Startled, our main character snapped his head around. It was Zeke. He said our boy was only alive because he was way too stubborn. He asked what the heck the director was doing here, but the second he tried sitting up, massive pains spiked everywhere. Zeke immediately told him to chill and stop moving. The meds worked, but with damage that nasty, he should have been in a straight-up coma. A full fix would take a month, so Zeke told him to just rest up. They had tons of stuff to prep for. Jarong said thanks, adding that helping was just common sense, but he had a big question. Zeke totally interrupted him first. If this was about his old man, then yep, they knew each other and were former partners. Suddenly, our main guy moved his hand so freakishly fast that Zeke totally tensed up, but Jarong just casually snatched the apple Zeke was holding. Seeing his face, he asked if Zeke thought a punch was coming. Zeke admitted that definitely wasn't the reaction he saw coming. Our main character shrugged, saying he just wanted to know if Zeke actually knew his dad back then. Based on Zeke's totally different vibe now, they seemed way closer than just coworkers. Apple in hand, he took a super deep breath. He flashed back to telling Zeke to drop dead or hack off his own arm just to prove a point. Honestly, Zeke probably thought he was still holding that grudge. So what do we make of this? Jarong asked if his act was convincing, apologizing if Zeke took it personally. And Zeke, he just brushed it off and stick with me, we are diving into something epic. Zeke thought the truth would wreck our guy. 3 years ago, maybe. Back then, he only wanted pure revenge. He wanted payback against everyone who abandoned his dad. So Zeke asks what exactly changed. Jarong admits he just grew up. That old rage, total madness. Plus, he is too weak to even scratch Zeke right now. Revenge is completely off the table. Right now, his only goal is stacking cash for those hospital bills. No idea when a cure will drop, but he is grinding until it does. Whatever blocks his path, he will smash through it. Zeke says he just needs some answers. Zeke asks why Jarong was never registered as Sun's kid and who raised him. Our main character fires back, his dad raised him solo. Spilling that secret meant instant danger. He grew up basically totally alone. Zeke knows he is not lying. Then Zeke drops a crazy name, Duguanuig. Jerong draws a complete blank. It is not a person, it is a dragon, a literal world-destroying nightmare beast. It poisoned his dad. Worse, it is still alive. The word dragon alone causes mass panic. Humanity built massive walls, and explorers got so buff that humanity finally survived extinction. But mega disasters can still happen. Something strong enough to shatter those walls. Yeah, dragons, they are way stronger and way smarter. Now watch closely, dragons do not just hate us. Out of all the monsters, they are the absolute worst. They want to rule us. But they messed up. They completely underestimated humanity. They figured we would never clear the dungeons, so they just sat back lazily. When the world burned, they planned to play God, protect us, demand worship. Jerong jokes that humans should probably just say thanks. They chilled at first, but when things went south, the dragons went on the attack. Enter Jerong's dad, Hero Time. Through pure grit, his dad proved these beasts could bleed. Once the world saw him slay a dragon, the entire game changed. Jerong says he knows this part. The dragons ran and hid. Zeke shuts that down fast. Hide, no, they just evolved their game. These things are sneaky enough to shapeshift. Brute force failed to wipe us out, so they started living right among us in society. This is heavily classified intel. Zeke only spilled it because Jerong is son's blood. Duguanuig was the absolute last target his dad hunted. If they slice that beast down, they might extract a cure for his dad. So if Jerong wants in on this raid, he needs massive leveling up because Zeke wants him there. By now, our guy is finally back on his feet. Staring out the window, he checks out the card Zeke handed over. He was told to drop it if things got too crazy, but if this could actually save his dad, zero chance he ignores it. Zeke makes it crystal clear he is not ready yet. Want that shot, climb the ranks first. These dragons are living fake lives, waiting for the perfect strike. I know what you are thinking, just expose them. Nope. Move too fast, the dragons vanish, and the entire planet goes into pure panic mode. The hit has to be blindingly fast. That is exactly why they formed an elite covert squad just to hunt down Duguani. Every single member, a top-tier veteran adventurer capable of dropping a dragon, if Jerong stays weak. They will straight up reject him. They cannot risk a rookie dragging them down. One slip-up ruins the raid and gets everybody instantly killed. If this wild story is true, how much time does he have? Zeke admits they still have not pinpointed the beast's exact spawn. But they expect to find it within 2 years, and when that day drops, nobody is waiting for him before leaving. Zeke says the kid can hate him forever, but he swears one thing, with or without our boy, they are taking that dragon out completely. Those words lock into his brain, a legit shot to save his dad. It is the exact thing he always dreamed of hearing, a cure actually exists. It fuels his hope but brings something darker, pure fear. What if he cannot level up fast enough to save his dad and get payback? His current stats are trash, but he will grind until he makes it. For years, there was literally zero hope for a cure. Now everything changed. That tiny spark of hope makes him insanely driven. While washing up, the nurse pops in, thrilled he is finally awake. She checks on his pain and he shrugs off the muscle ache. The doc will explain later, but he is gonna hurt for days. His arm was practically shredded. When they wheeled him in, it was looking brutal. One wrong move and they would have amputated the whole thing. A high-tier healer saved it. Staring at his arm, he asks about his raid buddy. What happened to his friend? The nurse smiles, his buddy completely healed up and bounced the same day. Hearing that, he realizes he has been out cold for a while. Suddenly, the nurse blushes and snaps a quick selfie with him. Wild. Jerong asks if he is clear to check out. She nods, but gives a warning, avoid the front. Reporters are waiting outside to completely ambush him. He has no clue why. She tells him to look, handing over her phone. Shocking. The whole thing was almost a total disaster. Without him and his buddy fighting, hundreds of people would be dead. Now everyone wants his name. Reporters have been swarming the hospital all day. She tosses him a bag, saying his buddy left it for him, if he wants to keep his face hidden. He should use the gear inside and sneak out the back exit. His friend prepped it, so it probably has some crazy stealth magic to hide his identity. But when he opens it, just a basic rope. So where does that leave us? Watching our epic hero awkwardly throw it out the window and climb down to escape. Stick with me here. Up above, the nurse yells out, saying not to sweat that photo until he's a super famous explorer. Juryong waves back, totally clueless about his crazy new hype. Meanwhile, Sidorum is chilling in her car, fully expecting him to hop in and leave. Our guy asks if a rope was seriously the only way down. She just fires back, would he rather get caught by the mob? He admits no, but then asks about that bag in her car. Sidorum says she bought him fresh clothes and a new phone, assuming his was totally destroyed. He is honestly touched. But she tells him to chill out. Honestly, she does not even know where to begin after the absolute chaos that just went down. A literal disaster spawned right next to him, and he somehow soloed the monster. Crazy stuff always follows this guy, so she asks where they are heading now. She desperately wants to sleep, but today is their only shot. If he wants custom gear, they need to go. He claims he has clothes, but Zero means pro explorer armor. And he should know he is ridiculously lucky. The world's absolute best tailor agreed to craft his set. Armor materials have 3 groups, starting with basic cloth. It offers terrible defense. But support magic flows perfectly through it, so backline mages and healers usually rock it. The second material type is heavy steel, which is insanely durable. But dungeon metal is so incredibly dense that only tanks with raw strength and stamina can wear it. Leather sits comfortably in the middle. Not too heavy, but super sturdy. That makes it absolutely perfect for a close combat damage dealer like him. It is definitely time he finally starts wearing real armor. Zero is absolutely dying to know how he beat that monster. She demands the full story, but Juryong brushes it off, saying she can just watch the viral video. Now pay attention to this detail. The video only shows him destroying the owl and 2 horned bosses. It completely skips how he took down the massive 5-star monster. This completely shocks him. He had zero clue it ranked that high. He figured it was tough, but even with Sakong fully prepped, they still should have lost. Then that crazy mystery power activated, and he still cannot explain it. Zero pushes harder, asking why he will not just spill the tea on what happened. But he seriously cannot put it into words. It just happened. Obviously, that sounds completely fake. Even elite pros need entire squads to fight a boss like that. She knows he is not lying, but it is wildly hard to accept. It just proves true geniuses hit different. Still, she warns him to stay careful, things will get exhausting. Reporters are the absolute least of their worries now. Both are smack in the center of the chaos. Sakong had it incredibly rough too. Surviving 4 straight days of interviews, even hitting national TV. Yet he barely mentioned Juryong. He refused to drop the main character's name without getting permission first. That suddenly reminds him of the huge favor he asked. If anyone snooped about what really happened, Sakong was supposed to play dumb and say he did not know. Since keeping a low profile was the goal, Sakong completely agreed to cover for him. Anisha asked how they got so close, but Juryong honestly had zero real answer. She told him to completely lay low until the entrance exam. He asked why, and instantly his manager texted, demanding that they needed to talk very soon. Anisha had been heavily researching the exam, and it sounded absolutely brutal. Lately, only 1 out of 100 applicants actually manages to pass. Our boy figured most applicants were just casuals, and definitely way weaker than Anisha. When she glared at him, he quickly backpedaled, swearing he was absolutely not calling her weak. She just told him to shut up. He was not wrong though, her raw potential was huge. But she sighed, saying he was completely missing the real point. You know the drill here, weak players do not fly solo, they squad up. That is when it finally clicked for him. The exam is purely team-based, mostly filled with kids of veteran adventurers. Thanks to their parents' insane connections, they basically pre-build elite squads ahead of time. Almost every applicant has major backing, and they always pass. If Juryong's true identity leaks, thirsty players will absolutely swarm him right away. The Academy claims they actively discourage that, but reality says otherwise. He could easily aim for special admission, but that is definitely not his style. He needs to know how the zero-help underdogs make it in. His ultimate plan, just crush absolutely everyone and forge his own path. She really respected his hype, even if it sounded a bit naive. Then she decided it was time for a wardrobe swap. Pointing to the bathroom, she told him to suit up and meet her down at the very end of the hall. Over at the front desk, the secretary was completely swamped. Anisha announced her VIP appointment with the CEO, and the secretary politely asked her to wait a hot minute. The secretary made a quick call, announcing the guest. Hanging up, she awkwardly explained the CEO had a sudden, massive emergency and literally could not make it down. That was a massive problem, 0 open days left on the calendar. He offered to compensate her, but Anisha fired back that this was absolutely not about the cash. She desperately needed this for the Warrior Academy exam, and canceling could wreck everything. Just then, some random girl nearby mentioned Anisha looked super familiar. The stranger could not quite nail down her name. In the adventurer world, everyone knows this new generation grew up completely differently. The original pioneers paid in literal blood to push society forward. Since then, tech leveled up, and this new generation was basically born on easy mode. Those retired legends spoon-fed their kids everything. They passed down way more than just raw talent. We are talking elite, god-tier training since childhood. So when fans ask who scored the biggest jackpot from that era, they point to one girl, Gaon, and Anisha instantly recognized her as a freshman at the Warrior School. Gaon confidently asked if Anisha recognized her as the student council president. Flashing a smile, she declared they could totally skip the boring, formal introductions. Plot twist, her uncle is the CEO, and she was the exact reason for his sudden emergency. She knew Anisha was furious, but in reality, Gaon blatantly stole her spot in line. She smirked, adding that if Anisha helped her out, the PR would look amazing. Anisha silently cursed, knowing exactly how much heavy influence Gaon wielded. She had heard endless rumors about what this girl could pull off. Right mid-conversation, Juryong casually strolled in. With Gaon being Anisha's senior, fighting back felt like a totally lost cause. Trust me, this is where we all fall in love with him. He casually thanks Gaon, then immediately tells her to drop the fake act and get out. She definitely did not expect that disrespect, and the secretary started sweating bullets. Gaon just grinned, praised the kid's absolute guts, and demanded to know exactly who he was. Stick with me here because we are about to watch this whole situation explode. Anisha tries stopping things, hands shaking from Gaon's brutal words. Jerong totally gets it. Gaon wasn't even talking to him. Anisha knew she should keep her mouth shut, but those words felt like a literal knife wound. Gaon hadn't asked this dude a single thing, so Anisha really needed to stay quiet, but our main character steps right up and introduces himself. 17, from Guanaku, 180 centimeters tall, and current weight totally unknown. Oh, and his favorite food, sausage with stir-fried veggies. Yeah, that wraps up the introductions. The main thing that mattered was his prep for the Warrior Academy, and honestly right now, he's super disappointed because even here, people like her act way more important than they actually are. Gaeun just flashes this completely unhinged smile, her hand literally vibrating with rage. Jae-yun totally understands exactly how Anisha felt. She admits she doesn't totally hate cocky guys like him. Well, at least if they can actually back up their trash talk. He wants into the academy, hasn't even taken the entrance exam, yet acts like he owns the place. He just smirks, asking if that's her usual vibe. He basically says he's super curious since it's his very first rodeo. He really wanted to know, did he meet her crazy high standards? That only ticks her off even more. Then her uncle yells out from afar. This is Shang Wu, demanding to know what on earth they're doing out here. He asks why she just showed up completely unannounced. Especially after literally snatching the phone right from his hands. It's barely been a single week since her last massive stunt. Does she want her dad raging again? Shang Wu apologizes to both of them, admitting his niece just has a habit of doing whatever she wants. Anisha says no apology needed, but she is still super grateful. In her eyes, Gaeun is just a walking disaster causing trouble. Still, the rumors are spot on. She is ridiculously proud and only respects pure strength. Now here is the part where we need to watch closely. Jaeyoung pulls Anusha aside to ask what this annoying upperclassman's deal actually is. Boom, gone is the student council president. Basically, she's straight up the strongest student in the entire school right now. Students there get temporary gem rank licenses, letting them enter dungeons under real professional supervision. With that license, they use school breaks to grind actual combat experience before becoming full adventurers. But student council members are treated way differently, even before official registration. They're basically treated like pros and hold insane influence on campus. They even join teams fighting five-star monsters. Everyone sees them as the next generation of elite ranked warriors. Since Gagun is the president, she should be 2 years older as a third year, right? Nope, she is actually still just in her second year. So Juryong asks if she got held back. Anisha says nope. Gon actually ripped the position right from the former president. He's totally baffled on how that's even possible. Anisha reminds him this academy runs purely on raw strength. Students can actually join the council starting in the first semester of their second year. And Gon did exactly that. She pulled her sword, challenged every single council member, crushed them all before the semester ended, and became the youngest president in school history. After dropping that epic flex, Gon looks ready to bounce. Anisha breathes a massive sigh of relief. But Jarong randomly shouts out, demanding to make a bet with her. Since she is super busy, he promises to make it quick. He heard she's famous, so there has to be a reason she acts like such a jerk. The bet is simple. If he loses, she gets the appointment slot. Anisha frantically apologizes. Yeah, he has completely lost his mind. But a real bet means Gae-yun needs to risk something too. Jar-yang likes her being smart, then asks if she knows shadow boxing. It's a basic close combat drill. Whoever tags the other person first or forces them into a bad stance wins. If he loses, she takes the time slot. Which works well since nobody gets seriously hurt. But if she loses, when he officially joins the academy, she has to hand over her seat as president. You and I both know that sounds absolutely insane. But get this, the crazy idea actually interests her enough that she accepts. Only after agreeing does she finally ask his name. The hallway is way too cramped, so they head to a gear durability testing workshop to brawl. Soon they get completely set up. Gaeun is dead sure she will win. Jaeyoung looks just as cocky. Meanwhile, Anisha is a total nervous wreck, thinking this is pointless. The issue was already resolved, plus he is badly injured right now. Even if he pulls off a miracle, Gon would never actually step down. Jarong calmly mentions he isn't even trying to win right now. Anisha is speechless. Even at full health, he'd get crushed. Gon is way too strong, so why even make the bet? Our main character tells her to chill. He knows it looks completely crazy, but she should really trust him more. In the end, this trade is gonna pay off. Anisha just can't figure out his endgame. Is he planning to lose on purpose just to magically bring out Gon's better side? But that's just way too stupid. Shang Wu sighs, saying all he can do is apologize. Gon should be a leader, but instead of being open, she's just brutally harsh. He apologizes to Anisha once more. She repeats it's fine, though honestly, none of this happens if Ya Yang wasn't acting so wildly stubborn too. Still, Shang Wu doesn't totally take Gon's side. Even without knowing this kid, he can tell the main character's confidence is completely off the charts. Gon smirks, assuming he noticed she's only using one arm to keep things a little fair. Ya Yang totally brushes it off, saying that's just gonna be her excuse when she loses. That spicy comeback hypes her up even more. She gets into stance and then boom, she literally vanishes. He barely has a millisecond to react, but he somehow dodges the first strike. Anisha and Sung Woo are absolutely floored, but for different reasons. Anisha is terrified by Gon's speed. Her attack was basically a literal blur. Usually you have to risk leaving a tiny opening in this kind of training. Not Gon, she didn't hesitate. She went totally all out, purely driven by pride. Saram knows she'd never react that fast. Then the tutor finally speaks up. Han asks if anyone else has brought this up before. He needs to know, is this kid seriously transferring into the Warrior Academy? Because from the official records. So what do we take away from all this? The files say he's gifted, but seeing it in person is wild. Han used to be an adventurer too, and he knows Jar Yang isn't just flexing. He is sizing up his opponent. Gon is an absolute beast for her age, and with a little more training, she could definitely crush lower-ranked fighters. Trust me, you and I are about to see our main character test his actual limits. So far, he has been dodging every single hit with some seriously insane skill. Dodging a massive flurry of strikes, he finally backs up. Gon just smiles. It has been a minute since anyone at this school actually managed to dodge her for this long. Honestly, she is blown away. Surviving this long is crazy, especially since his arm is totally wrecked. Looking at him right now, he is nowhere close to his full power. But Jaeyoung fires back. She has not seen his peak, so do not count him out. Lowering her voice, she admits she saw his insane speed fighting the Horn Horror. She played that footage on repeat. Turns out she is a huge fan of this mystery hero. Snapping back to reality, she offers a draw to finish this another time. Once he enters the academy and heals up completely, they can run it back. She refuses to let things end like this. Her uncle could totally intervene, but Jaeyoung completely calls her bluff. That bold energy throws her off balance. She cannot read this guy at all. He is flat out rejecting the tie, especially since the student council president spot is at stake. If he refuses to back down, there is zero reason to waste time. He prepares to keep fighting. All three of them instantly think the same thing: he is totally bluffing, throwing away the best opening of the whole wager. A huge shame, since she loves raw ambition. But what he just showed was not ambition, pure stupidity. Jaeyoung flashes a tiny smirk and steps forward, immediately launching himself into the very first real attack. Now the tables have turned. Catching her totally off guard, Jaeyoung dives right in. Even her uncle is completely shocked by the sudden switch up. Jaeyoung puts all his power into a massive strike that narrowly misses. Siron realizes he was never holding back. The tailor completely miscalculated this kid's actual limits. Now watch closely, because here is the crazy part. Our guy was actually studying Gon's moves and completely copied them mid-fight. An absolute monster. Forget winning or losing. This dude just wants Gyun's unique technique. Finishing his strike, he confirms he figured it out. Growing up smuggling, he followed one strict rule. Stop standing there freezing up. He demands to see more. The golden rule: never ever take a loss on a deal. Fighting technique is way more than just hitting hard enough to knock someone out. It means polishing every single motion to maximize what the human body can actually do. It covers everything from breathing to footwork. The ultimate secret is perfect timing. Normal fighters literally dedicate their entire lives just trying to master that rhythm. Endless repetition, brutal mistakes, and trying again. Then, masters pass that wisdom down to elevate the next generation, because raw talent alone will never outwork hundreds of years of inherited knowledge. Gaeun was practically born a prodigy, growing insanely strong solo, but eventually her progress flatlined. She slammed face first into a massive wall she just could not break through. To level up, he needs to shatter his personal limits. Without hesitating, he straight up rips off the medical sling holding his arm back. He demands to know why she is holding back. He is absolutely going to this academy, and she literally promised to teach a rookie like him. So maybe the actual reason she is freezing up is pure fear of losing. He totally gets it. The call-out leaves her completely stunned for a second. Snapping back, she asks her uncle if he remembers her earlier demand. An elite attack squad wanted her recruited, and he told her to go build up her street cred. She agrees to join them, but only if he stays completely out of this fight. Sweating bullets, he questions her crazy plan. Gon glares at Jaeyoung. He wanted to see her dodge. Fine, she will put on a show. Now he has to force her to evade, but boom, she is already flying forward with a brutal kick aimed right at his face. You and I both know he is waiting for an opening. Dodging perfectly, he spots the gap. Every attack has a start, a finish, and a smooth transition. Read those micro movements and you predict the future. Gon literally weaponizes this. By skipping an entire step in her form, she completely breaks her opponent's brain. That visual glitch makes her totally unpredictable, creating the illusion of godlike speed. Her father spent literal decades building this broken combat style from the ground up. He became a living legend using it. They call this technique Flash. It is insanely fast, and Jurian just spammed it twice, something even Jirian has not perfectly mastered yet. You cannot just copy and paste this skill. It requires insane flexibility, god-tier reflexes, and a ridiculous amount of training time. One tiny mistake and your bones snap. Even her father peaked at 20 before truly mastering it, taking him 3 full months just to grasp the absolute basics. He refined it just to spar with his niece. Meanwhile, this absolute madman is pulling it off effortlessly. Looking closely, Han realizes Jian's physical condition is completely trashed. His stamina gauge is basically at 0, but somehow he is moving perfectly, and there is this wild, satisfied smirk completely taking over his face. Like he knows exactly how to level up now. It is a psycho way to learn, but his hunger for raw power is unmatched. He finally has the blueprint. He did not learn this out of survival. He learned it because fighting is incredibly fun. Adrenaline is pumping so hard, he cannot even feel his broken body anymore. He just wants to push Gurion to the limit. She instantly realizes she is in deep trouble as Jian relentlessly attacks using her stolen technique. He is about to land a blow and she is defenseless. Han instantly intervenes, dead silence. He plants himself right in the middle of the crash zone. Gurion ordered him to stay out of it, but she is secretly relieved he stopped the carnage. Still, she clenches her fists and bitterly admits she lost the bet. But plot twist, Gurion admits he lost too, total stalemate. She claims she would not use her hands, but he actually never agreed to that super unfair handicap. Hands or no hands, he still took damage. Maybe she is just protecting her pride, but deep down, she realizes she is not untouchable anymore. Her uncle finally speaks up, no need to crown a winner today. He feels terrible for letting things escalate, plus Jian is basically running on fumes. Fighting is suicide. He declares a solid draw, calling it a brutal lesson for both prodigies. The deal: once our boy is fully healed, they run a completely fair one-on-one. Accepting the ruling, Gurion shoots Gurion a deadly glare. They will meet again at the academy. If he fails the exam or loses to literally anyone else before her, she will completely destroy him. You and I just witnessed an epic power-up. Leaving, Gurion asks for Siram's name and Siro answers. All right, stick with me here. Gurion tells Siam if she's backing our protagonist, she totally apologizes. She doesn't know Siram's actual adventure skills. But she's definitely not useless. She reads people perfectly, and our MC wasn't the only one having a blast today. Now they just chill on a couch waiting. The wait is literally driving him insane. Siram is just glad he dodged a hospital trip, though honestly, the dude almost looks like he wanted one. She's shocked Gurion admitted defeat, too. Siram totally thought Jian won, but he disagrees. The way he sees it, he broke the rules first. Once he ripped off that sling to attack, neither was actually fighting to win. He crossed the line first. By the end, he was going completely all out. If that hit landed, she'd be seriously wrecked. He admits if he were in her shoes, he would have used his hands too. Zero other options. Siam wonders what would happen if both went full power. For a girl against him fighting, she got super invested. Anyway, he finally gets up off the couch. He realizes company is here. Two people finally walk in. Siram turns around. It's Han, thanking them for waiting around so long. Dude even brought pizza. After eating, he steps up and apologizes. His niece caused major drama, and honestly, he should have taken them somewhere fancy. But Jerong is just pumped about the pizza. Food just needs to be massive. As an adventurer, he eats 5 times a normal person's weight. Siram completely forgot that. He was knocked out for 4 days straight without food. Han then explains his workshop skips normal leather for something way better. They use fibers from high-tier monsters, mixing them to craft ultimate personalized gear. This stuff, way lighter and insanely tougher than basic leather. Just looking at Jerry Yang, Han knows exactly what material and fit will work best. He saw his moves and knows his stats, but one single question is bothering him. The final crafting step means soaking the material in oil. It makes everything incredibly durable and long-lasting. Siam actually knew that, hence asking for absolute top-tier materials. The catch, right now, scoring that specific oil is basically impossible. Now watch this, it comes from the deep-sea voracious whale. They controlled it, but after some crazy trouble, nobody hunts those monsters anymore. They have backup options, obviously, and honestly, in a real fight, the difference is microscopic. Still, that means breaking the deal, a totally unacceptable mistake, so if they want to cancel, no hard feelings. He can hook them up with a master leather craftsman instead. He's totally ready to compensate for their wasted time. Woohoo. Jeryong says whatever, it's fine, small quality gap, he literally doesn't care. He doesn't rock fancy gear anyway. Honestly, he specifically wants equipment crafted by Han. Then he asks, did Han train his own niece? He's no gear expert, but coming from a powerhouse, that builds trust. So yeah, if Han is actually strong, he wants him building it. Siam knew something was totally up. Han mentions it's been 10 years since retirement, but hey, he appreciates the respect. That compliment definitely makes his day. Siro, he has literally no idea where all the pizza vanished to. Since they trust him, Han swears to forge the ultimate gear possible. Then he brings up last week's massive frustration. There was this big hunt, and he totally thought he'd score some legendary crafting materials. He asks about the Imperial Wasp. Sai brings up royal jelly, but makers actually crave a completely different material from that monster. Black wax, the ultimate shield for the queen, only a rare few produce it. Han flashes his phone at Yuzhi Yang, asking if this is it. He literally sketched it after losing his phone. Han is blown away the kids saw it in person. Honestly, our boy Yo actually smuggled it before. I know what you're thinking, Smooth Lie, right? He claims he saw it at Siram's house. Rich people have everything. Now Yuzhi heads to the hospital. He's gotta meet someone before going inside. It'll take an hour and the manager will be free by then. Han asks if he's eaten yet. He has, but hey, he'll totally eat again, as long as Han covers the bill, obviously. Slowly, the door to Yuzhi room creaks open. He hangs up, telling them to call when they arrive. His daily plans just flipped. Zeke says it's been a minute, while Kababalinho suggests stepping outside. These two already chatted at the hospital 11 days ago. Throwing hands in the MC's room wouldn't fix anything. A one-man-led strike team completely crumbled. If that was it, maybe they'd stay quiet. Kabalino smirks, noting Zeke still knows how to trigger people. They used to be allies, but the vibes are completely toxic now. Just looking at him pisses Zeke off. Kabalino Akajayawan is a retired 5th-ranked adventurer. Since they're teamed up, he tells Zeke to shut up and follow. Siram starts questioning how many surprises her friend is hiding. She also wants the scoop on that black wax. She bets it was the item in the chest, kicking herself for not realizing sooner. Yuzhi literally had zero clue what it was, but thanks her for keeping it low-key. Post-Stargraph, everything's chaotic, so she asks if he's currently busy. He is, got a meeting. She offers a ride if it's close, but right on cue, her phone buzzes. It's Uncle Zeke. She tells Yuzhi to hold on. He agrees, having time to kill. The tailor randomly mentions the chilly nights, asking if Siram already took off. She just stepped out for a call, she'll be right back. He nods, saying that's cool, he just came outside for a quick smoke break. Then he drops a bomb, that skill he used today, it's called Flash, created by his brother, Di's father, and he helped make it. Our boy is instantly mortified. He scrambles to apologize. He should have guessed the creator's family was around. He's super sorry for copying it, but hey, the tailor isn't mad at all. You can't really trademark a combat move anyway. Sure, they're super picky about who they formally teach. But learning it visually, totally fair game, nothing to sweat over. If a skill is copyable, it's only natural more fighters will use it. You and I just witnessed pure genius. Copying that is insanely hard. At first, he thought Yuzhi's basics were just trash from bad training. Let's dive right back in. You and I saw that crazy fight, and the old man changed his mind fast. If our boy was lazy, his basics wouldn't be this solid. Whatever life made him this tough, he has some real advice ready. He is crazy talented. Give him enough time and sweat, and we will see his true, absolute power. Becoming an epic adventurer, that is the easy part. The potential is 100% there, but sadly, this world hates seeing young prodigies win. Sure, some folks will admire him and actually help out, but others, pure jealousy, they will absolutely try to crush or use him, should he just hide his epic talent. Heck no, never hide that power. Honestly, he probably couldn't hide it anyway. Faking weakness just makes those haters look down on him. He needs to live loud and proud, showing off who he really is, an untouchable genius. As long as he has the juice, he needs to go all out and steal every single epic technique he can get his hands on. Even if it causes total chaos, no more bowing his head. Keep that chin up and speak with some real chest. At the end of the day, the top dogs make the rules. Master a wild technique, and you can totally claim it as your own. The mentor admits it sounds kind of ruthless, but out here, power is everything. His own niece lives by that code, and he loves it. She is intense, but nobody dares disrespect her. He wants our boy to have that same energy. Right then, Sangro shows up looking for her buddy. She is pretty stunned to catch the tailor chilling there, but says her uncle needs a quick chat. No clue why, but it is super urgent. She already figured he would be hanging out, so she grabs the phone. Zeke hops on the line, super sorry for totally crashing the vibe. Now watch closely, guys. He didn't mean to call this fast, but a wild problem just blew up and he needs backup instantly. Our boy is totally thrown off, but he gets the memo and sprints out. They duck into this creepy abandoned subway route, a total secret shortcut. This turf belongs to their crew. Zeke is standing there looking absolutely wrecked, clothes shredded, whispering that someone is inside the room. He didn't want to drag the kid into this, but the guy inside straight up chose death over Zeke's healing magic. Yeah, massive beef there. Seems like Zeke and the manager had a massive blowout. The bloody guy cracks a joke, saying he would have borrowed our boy's shirt too. Our MC has absolutely zero clue who this dude is. The guy smirks, wondering if the kid sliced Zeke's face. Word travels fast. He is already famous in the strike team for dropping that high-tier monster. The captain is totally hyped. But Zeke aggressively cuts the small talk. They are bouncing. Absolutely no reason to hang around this sketchy place any longer. Our boy steps right up to that door dripping with bad vibes. Inside, the director. Honestly, he looks totally fine, making Zeke look super dramatic. But the director admits the damage is brutal. His body and his ego, totally trashed. He roasts Zeke, then shadows him anyway. Since the kid is tagging along, the director asks for a tiny favor. Got a lighter? If not, grab one from the absolute mess downstairs. The guy sounds exhausted, so our hero checks below. Bam, the whole floor is literally engulfed in flames. Meanwhile, the director starts spilling the tea. Zeke said they fought, not quite. The director was furious and 100% ready to roast him alive. Then he throws some respect at the muscular kid. Not even a tank class, but he held the line perfectly. 10 years, absolute legend status. Zeke knows exactly where this conversation is heading. Quitting the smuggler life to be a hunter. One huge rule: master the director's crazy lessons in 30 days. If he falls behind, just quit. This new grind is going to be insanely brutal and totally unlike his old life. I know what you're thinking, right? Magic. Our boy is shook because all he has seen this dude do is float and smash things to pieces. So he hits him with the real question, why offer this now? But bam, the director just completely passes out. Now it hits him, the guy wasn't faking. He is freezing cold, entirely out of gas, and literally needs to be carried. The vibe suddenly shifts to Song-woo, chilling and chatting about his struggles grinding beans for a simple coffee. Turns out, way easier than he thought, even with messy slip-ups. If he had known this was so chill, he would have started this cozy hobby years ago. But the other dude tells him to drop the small talk. They aren't exactly allies here. That guy, Lim Yuan, 26 years old, director Young verified it. Still, if they wanted to fix this mess, it was action time. While pouring the coffee, the director states they must hunt down that Dugani. Simple plan, really. Lock onto the targets, completely wipe them off the map, and snatch the loot. But everyone in that room knew the dark truth. Young was fading fast. Trying to keep it cool, he slid his bro the coffee. But he completely lost it, bawling his eyes out, furious that scumbags were stealing his partner. He swore more monsters were hiding. Maybe this just leads to more useless suffering, but if that beast is still breathing because of some dragon backing it, the director will handle it solo. He wants to form a massive raid, track that freak down, and make it beg for mercy. Then boom, our little hero walks in. Total shocker, he had zero clue his best friend even had a kid. The kid casually says hi. They send the kid off to play so the adults can talk. Turns out, Zeke whipped up a crazy painkiller, but the addiction risk is huge. Over time, that stuff will completely destroy his memory and rot his brain. Give it 3 or maybe 4 years tops. He might forget his own best friend's face. Young swears he will do everything, but begs him to stop the insane headmaster. This is it, the most heartbreaking favor ever. If he dies, he needs someone to raise his boy. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Alright, you and I are diving into something wild. The legendary Dragon Slayer, a guy who literally never showed weakness, was begging for a favor just so our hero could have a normal future. He wanted him to be genuinely happy, living totally far away from any crazy adventurers. He begged Ujirian to make it happen, and honestly, Ujirian just couldn't say no. Cut back to the present. The director finally snaps awake, rubbing his eyes and asking for the time. It's about 10:30 at night. So he had been totally knocked out for 3 hours. Despite that, our boy hands him a little gift from their old days back when he was 14. It's a syringe, basically an emergency healing potion in a needle. The headmaster notes it isn't top tier, but man, it works incredibly fast, unless you're basically dying. It'll have you back on your feet in just a few hours. A seriously rare backup item. Absolute gold for adventurers. Still, you can find them sometimes, so he told him to buy his own. Things get serious. The director asks him straight up if he wants to back out, if he had changed his mind. He needed to speak up immediately. They could still fix this mess, but once he crossed that line, zero going back, and paying those insane hospital bills for his dad, not actually impossible. Dumping all that massive responsibility on a kid, absolutely sickening, but Juryong brushes it off. He wasn't exactly close to his dad anyway, and the old man left him broke. Nobody could predict the fallout. The director assumed the kid just didn't trust him to handle things, but our main character, built entirely different, that wasn't it. He always believed he had to get strong enough to protect himself and his dad with his own two hands, no matter what. So he thanked him for the syringe and saved it. Now pay attention, because back in the present, the director assumed our hero would treasure it, never expecting the kid still hadn't used it. Honestly, thank God he didn't flip it on the black market. Right then, the director figures our hero probably wouldn't buy a single word. But even if the kid never became a smuggler or straight up quit the underground life, he'd still grind to pay his dad's bills. Juryong says he already knows. He was 100% sure that no matter how bad things got, the boss would never let his dad down. That absolute certainty let him push forward without blinking. The headmaster claims that by turning a 14-year-old kid into a weapon, he totally betrayed the father, but MC shuts that down. The director didn't do that. That was his own choice. Even totally alone, he would have found a way to survive, but he'd been wondering something. If he was strong enough to survive solo, why was the director bothering to help him? He'd wondered that forever. The headmaster stands up, saying his only promise was keeping Juryong away from adventuring. But yeah, nothing is ever that simple, because even working for him, the kid never listened. You just can't force the son of a dragon slayer, a kid with pure abyss talent, to live a boring life. Honestly, the headmaster despised this whole system. He hated the absolute scum who ruined the father, the complete idiots who forgot his legacy, and the cowards who knew the truth but just sat around making weak excuses. Those are the exact people the director wants permanently erased. Our hero starts getting up. Mentioning Zeke seems kind of normal, but the boss interrupts. Zeke is never catching Dugani. His tactics are way too basic. And hunting a hidden dragon, it takes way more than just standard adventurers, because dragons are a literal plague. Even if you track one down, you cannot just walk away. Pure blood dragons are literally engineered for maximum destruction. So yeah, sure. Maybe a few of Zeke's guys are alright, but the freaks who abandoned his dad are absolute trash, even if the world ended tomorrow. The director will never forget what our boy lost, and he refuses to swallow their lies. Right now the law restrains Zeke, but those scumbags will just keep helping dragons and dragging him down. You and I absolutely saw this coming. 20 years ago, his dad destroyed that nightmare, but it came crawling right back. Lies just piled on lies, and those rotten idiots let everything fall apart. That's why he banned him from adventuring. He hands our hero a paper with 4 account numbers. Since day one, every single dime he earned working underground had been stashed right there. Our guy is totally lost. But the director says from the start, this place was meant to be his. A perfect setup to open his own business someday. Back then, he planned to teach him hardcore skills, stuff way more practical and dangerous than what normal adventurers learn. He tells him to call once his cast is off. After that, he stopped the magic lessons for a month. Right now, he tells him to just focus on those entrance exams, even if they feel like a total joke. Leaving, our hero says he didn't need to offer that massive chance. Honestly, he totally thought the director might change his mind. And if he really didn't want him becoming an adventurer, the director stops. Yeah, that was totally true, but those were just his own feelings, and honestly, they didn't matter much 3 years ago. Just like right now, the only thing that actually matters is what our protagonist decides to do. Meanwhile, out in Old Yongan, we spot that exact same girl from the city incident. She sighs, saying they always crash in sketchy spots like this, wondering if they should get a private place. Got the cash, she asks. Sure, half the crew bails on these meetings anyway, but with a real hideout, they could at least get a decent warm shower. Honestly, you can tell these two go way back. They just keep roasting each other, acting like nobody else is around. She playfully teases him, joking that without his Perkin, he'd probably just whine like a pathetic lost puppy, trying super hard not to cry while acting tough. That insult totally wrecks his ego, exactly her goal. He's already looking like a total clown. He gets so triggered his aura literally starts leaking out, snapping back, asking if they really think he'd get punished for fighting her. That's basically suicide, but she's totally ready to throw down right now. Suddenly, a guy steps in and tells them both to drop it. Even he originally planned to stay out of it. But he needs everyone to realize they're only here because of a dead body. And yeah, he hates the situation too, but he isn't dealing with this garbage alone just for a brawl. He throws his hands up, admitting he acted like an arrogant idiot for entertaining that crazy Doran, but the girl immediately claps right back, saying he only survived because a certain someone backed him up, and weirdly, that exact rescuer was totally ghosting their phone calls yesterday. He shrugs, saying, so what if that's true? He argues there was zero need to communicate. Why risk getting info when a monster might wipe out the rescuers anyway? Trust me, you and I absolutely need to see what's next. All right, grab your snacks and stick with me, because this operation was a mess. Our tough guy points out that 12 dead bodies doesn't exactly scream success. And get this, the media totally ignored the casualties. For 4 straight days, the news only hyped up our boys as absolute heroes, completely glossing over those hijacked trucks they scored. The boss admits it makes total sense. Without those two stepping up, the Hunter Association would have faced an absolute apocalypse. Their security for hauling 5-star monsters was absolute garbage, costing innocent lives. So the association totally manipulated the media to focus on our 2 boys in the car instead. They even used the victims' families as a massive shield. Our villain girl snaps, saying she should have just straight up annihilated everyone. But the boss shoots that down. Going full murder mode just makes her a terrorist. Plus, the public would stop roasting the association and hunt them instead. One more screw-up and their whole crew is toast. The big dude mutters that this explains all the sketchy accidents. Anyway, they still have another job on today's hit list. Suddenly, a new squad member rolls in, literally dragging a dude on a metal chain like it's a casual hobby. They bagged a corrupt hunter who was keeping dirty secrets from his squad. Outside, he played the flawless hero, but last night, busted trying to pawn off monster loot through some sketchy black market dealers. Midong Hayek ranked 97 and a total menace. Despite being the rookie of his elite team, this backstabber was selling out his own crew and fencing stolen gear in the shadows. The name didn't ring a bell for the others, so someone explains it's a top-secret hunter base camped near a dungeon. Think of an ultimate safe room packed with survival gear. And a flawless bunker where monsters literally cannot enter. That's the official purpose anyway, but some people are super corrupt, pressed to spill the details. The chain guy confesses his squad leader is throwing a massive, secret underground party with civilians. The big dude interrupts, asking if they're about to execute this pathetic snitch. Trembling like crazy, the hunter spills everything. He says VIP friends bring fresh guests into the dungeon and the roster changes constantly, usually. It's filthy rich thrill seekers, executives, and celebrities getting wasted on illegal buff potions. The girl thinks it's completely unhinged, but the boss gets it. These are elite snobs tired of normal parties, craving lethal thrills inside active dungeons while pro hunters play bodyguard in secret. The chained guy bawls that he was forced into this mess. They gaslit him into thinking this was totally normal industry behavior. And get this, he definitely wasn't acting alone. The chain guy steps up, telling the snitch to stop shaking and spit the absolute truth. Maybe he could still survive this, but if he got innocent people hurt down there again, the boss wasn't having it. Now pay attention because things get brutally dark here. They're going to slaughter everyone at that party. Corrupt hunters and rich snobs using dungeons for VIP clubs. That headline will break the internet. Still, the crew is stunned the boss is sitting this bloodbath out. It sounds like an absolute cakewalk, after all. Their prey is just a famous hunter squad, 2 golden elites and 6 top rankers. The boss smirks, saying these high-level targets are the perfect punching bags to blow off some steam. He gives them the green light to go absolutely feral, leave enough bodies behind so the public realizes nowhere is safe, setting the perfect stage for Squad Scar's grand debut. Flash forward a month, Jurian is driving over, his head spinning from all the recent chaos, while his battered body is still barely holding together. He finally rolls up to where the elf girl is chilling. She's quick to remind him this is literally his last free weekend before the massive exam drops. Even though he claimed he was just here to grind training with the headmaster, she's about to gear up, but suddenly an unexpected third wheel spawns in. It's Yoonguk, the intense dude Juryong bumped into at the hospital earlier. Stepping out from the car, he smoothly crashes their chat, insisting he's totally here to help out. He claims swapping intel is a mega brain move since they share the same class now. Yoonguk looks super hyped, but honestly his vibe is a little aggressively intense. They really need to grasp how insane this facility is. Full combat arena, Olympic pool, zero-cost buffet, and a custom gym stacked with super heavy machines specifically built for hunters. Sarnam casually drops that the 5th floor is luxury dorms, complete with private showers, and if you're feeling fancy, boom, a literal 5-star spa sits on the 4th floor. Jerong's jaw hits the floor hearing her uncle owns this whole palace. She totally downplays it, though. Apparently, top-tier S-rankers casually buy entire mountain ranges just for private gyms. Her uncle only drops by with his guild to spar, so on off days, they basically get free VIP access. Then Siri brutally asks why Yoonguk is even crashing their party. I know what you're thinking, ouch, right? He calls her out for being rude to a classmate, but she fires back, doubting Yoonguk even views him as a real equal anyway. Juryong asks if she can literally ever speak to him nicely. She scoffs, saying it's definitely not just her. Honestly, she bets nobody in their entire department actually talks to the guy. Everyone knows his ego is straight up orbiting the moon right now. If he blanks the top tiers, he definitely ignores the scrubs. Right on cue, our boy casually yells at Yoonguk, asking why he's lurking in the corner. Time to train, not loiter. So the big guy finally jogs over to the group. MC plans to test out the wild equipment later, while Yoonguk admits he literally only came to test drive some new brand name gear. Watching them bicker, Juryong is low-key stunned that Yoonguk actually pulled up, just like Saram predicted. But hey, he doesn't see the harm in a +1. If they got beef, they should just air it out. Yoonguk casually drops that he has zero real relationships with the other students back at the academy. It's just that he thinks Saram is terrifying, but also undeniably awesome. Juryong does a double take, asking if they're talking about the same moody girl. Yoonguk deadpans a yes. He respects her absolute edge. Since freshman year, a ton of haters couldn't stand her, but she never once bowed down. Yoonguk doesn't even care about her flashy test scores. He just admires her rock-solid backbone. So with Yoonguk finally standing next to Saram, Juryong throws out a crazy idea, a 3-way weekend training boot camp. Saram instantly reminds our boy he needs to cram for the practical exam, but MC just shrugs it off. It's basically a massive memory and analysis check, zero actual combat required. Even she admitted the real hack is just solid analysis. Every single example they've studied so far has been totally basic. Plus, they already leaked the exam location and the main topic. He knows the test matters, but since the trio is already standing here. So what do you and I take away from this? Our MC is leveling up fast. He's been bumping into monsters left and right lately, and he's not slowing down now. Stick with me here, you and I are about to watch him figure out totally new skills. Now, he wanted some real hands-on training. The plan, swap their best moves, test out each other's actual power levels, and give the whole squad a massive, much-needed upgrade. Classic Jerong making it awkward by calling them outcasts out of nowhere. Zero filter on this guy. Then he just casually mentioned that if he actually made it into the hero school and found some new buddies, he'd totally share his tricks with them too. He honestly had no clue how things worked there, but assumed everyone swapped strategies. Saram just shrugged. She had literally never even considered that before. Just for a second, it hit all three of them. Maybe this elite hero school wasn't just about grinding XP, but actually scoring some legit friends along the way. Our main character figured he'd probably transfer in. He told Saram that even if she got held back a year, sticking around could seriously boost her overall training and growth. Shio Ram nodded, totally getting his vibe, but honestly, she highly doubted she had any useful skills left to teach these two powerhouses. But Jerong hit her with cold, hard facts. They both sucked at magic. She was the expert there, even if mixing spells with hand-to-hand combat was still pretty tricky. Shio Ram tried waving it off, claiming she was just a decent archer, definitely no magic prodigy, but Zhang Bao got super serious. He looked right at her and declared that he absolutely needed to learn her techniques. The guy fully intended to max out those skills eventually anyway. Seem was totally stunned, but Jungkook thought she played it cool. To him, the whole thing sounded perfectly normal. 15 minutes later, stepping into the training arena, Jungkook dipped out to call his folks. Meanwhile, Jaerong was absolutely mind-blown. This room literally had every single piece of gear imaginable. They even had fully stocked wardrobes in every size. He joked about stealing a sweet suit, but Seem cut in. She wondered out loud if he was doing all this on purpose, secretly looking out for both her and Seem. She gave him a huge thanks, saying this group training meant everything. Honestly, she never imagined making any real friends outside of him and Se-Hong-woo. Our boy smirked, telling her she finally realized he wasn't such a bad dude. He was about to drop another truth bomb, but boom, Anisha suddenly crashed the party, complaining about a totally weird vibe. She was heading straight to the gym, and catching sight of Se-Hong-woo explained everything. Se-Hong just froze in absolute shock, demanding to know what Anisha was even doing there. Anisha casually brushed it off, explaining her uncle was completely out of town. After his last warning, she figured this was the perfect time to sneak in undisturbed. Seem instantly froze up. Wait, what was happening behind her back? Were those two actually that close? Shaking it off, Seem quickly introduced Jaerong, revealing that Anisha was her cousin. Everyone calls her Annie, and yep, they are exactly the same age. Anisha gave a friendly wave, genuinely shocked Seem actually brought a friend along, but totally stoked for her. Then she pointed out a sophomore named Jeneng. Turns out, she invited a whole squad of upperclassmen over for the weekend just to hang out and get some training in. Only the guys with zero weekend plans showed up. She hyped up having the main character there too, but Anisha quickly noted that Seem absolutely hates massive crowds. So she'd probably want to bail right now. If she dipped tomorrow in front of the whole school, rumors would start flying. Seem immediately tried to argue back. But Anisha told her to stop being so stubborn. The place was totally safe, so she needed to join in. It was a massive opportunity. Finally, Jaerong chimed in, saying they were all practicing anyway. They had another buddy outside stuck on a call, but he'd be in soon. That's when one of the arrogant sophomores completely sized Jaerong up. He demanded to know who this absolute nobody was. Our guy kept it super casual. He explained he just went to a totally normal, boring high school, just a freshman, but he fully planned on transferring to their elite academy soon. He mentioned Ciro was giving him tips for the crazy entrance exam. He'd been busy grinding other stuff for years, so yeah, he was behind, but ready to put in the work. The whole squad instantly busted out laughing, totally mocking him. Jaeam was just about to offer a friendly spar. But the sophomore brutally shut that down. He told him to catch a ride home before it got too dark outside. Amisha's entire crew joined the roast session. Now pay attention, here is where the arrogance kicks in. These guys didn't care if his transfer story was real. They laughed, claiming he totally faked the whole thing out of pure embarrassment. Being elite hero students, they bragged that no average kid could ever survive their pace. Hanging around would just lead to total humiliation and a seriously broken ego. They told him to go find some basic tutors. Our main character opened his mouth to reply, but bam, a sudden fist flew right at his face. The hit connected hard, and Ya-Yang instantly screamed in pain. Look, everyone knew Jeneng wasn't going for a fatal blow. Even sketchy, unofficial hunters know you can't just randomly assault normal civilians outside the dungeons. That is straight up illegal. He only wanted to throw a fake-out punch, scare the kid, and flex his superiority, but even Jang looked completely baffled. He actually connected, even from that far away. It literally made zero sense. Anyone with basic reflexes would lean back, but Shaeyoung, this dude literally stepped right into the strike. Now he was playing the victim, whining that he just wanted to make friends and got assaulted. Then his whole vibe shifted. He muttered that self-defense was his only option now, glaring with pure killer intent. This training zone was packed with security cameras capturing every single angle. Hunters constantly used that high-def footage to review and level up their combat forms. You saw that too, right? Sorum realized Jaerong took that hit entirely on purpose. Boom, instant proof. The tapes would flawlessly show that Jong threw the very first punch. Jung was totally clueless about what kind of self-defense our guy was plotting, so our main character cranked up the drama, pretending he was just a super sensitive, quiet kid who bottles everything up, gets super depressed, and loses sleep over trauma. Jung aggressively snapped back. It was just a little tap, so why act like a total baby about it? Pointing a finger right at his face, Yang coldly stated that wasn't an apology. Jang threw an unprovoked punch. So, police first or straight to the academy headmaster? Jeneng nervously tried to de-escalate. He asked what the kid wanted, a cash payout or to actually join their training session, but our guy said his terms were already crystal clear. Unless he returned the exact same amount of damage, his insomnia would act up. Jang scoffed, telling him to take his best shot. He was 100% sure this normal kid couldn't even leave a scratch. To him, Jiryong was just a squishy high schooler with pathetic, basic attacks. But the absolute second our main character raised his hand into the air, Jeneng's brain flash-forwarded to pure destruction, imagining every single tooth in his head shattering instantly. Pure panic took over and he scrambled backward. He stuttered, claiming this totally wasn't the deal. The peanut gallery was confused. Jang definitely should have just tanked the hit. Normally, these elite kids would just dodge effortlessly just to completely humiliate Jerong. So what do you and I make of this? Jen retreated in pure terror, realizing this wasn't some weak kid. He just woke up a monster radiating absolutely terrifying pressure. Stick with me, you and I are about to see a total beatdown. Anada made it clear, backing off wasn't enough. Either apologize properly and pay up or get absolutely wrecked. Jang panicked, offering to apologize for acting so dumb, but Jar Yang wasn't having it. He demanded Jang choose between sparring or an actual fight. Right then, Jang felt the trap. Our main character exploded out of his seat. Jang cursed, screaming that they would see who the pathetic one really was, but the main character was already standing right beside him. Moving so insanely fast he created afterimages, Jang totally missed and hit empty air. A second later, Jaeyoung smashed a light punch into his nose, casually asking if they were done already. That completely shattered Jang's pride. He totally snapped, losing his temper right then and there, wildly throwing hit after hit. But none connected at all. Jaeyoung stepped close, mocking him for not handling a few simple punches before kicking him hard to the floor. At first, people assumed Jang was faking to bait a trap, but then they realized he was actually getting crushed. Was he seriously a hero school student? Ya-Yang just sighed, saying this felt like child's play compared to his past fights. He reminded them he wanted a peaceful chat, but nobody bothered to listen. Then he politely thanked Jang for the match, claiming he took some damage. He even offered a hand to help him up, but a humiliated Jang just looked away. Our main character wasn't done, noting a sophomore really should be way stronger. If he knew it would be this pathetic, he would have just ignored the guy. Next, he demanded the camera footage. Shioi was completely confused, wondering what else he could possibly do to tick off Jang. Now pay close attention here. The footage would clearly prove Jaryang held way back. Shioi was absolutely mind-blown. Did he literally plan all this just for a recording? Jang had targeted our main character from minute one, and that girl in the dress, she brought the squad here, not even trying to hide her massive hatred for Siram. After a quick pause, Jarong continued. He admitted he didn't understand their fancy school life, but according to Siongo, these moments were actually a super huge deal. Honestly, he thought they would at least fake being decent people. Sure, his self-esteem was pretty low, but taking absolute trash talk from jerks like them, not gonna happen. This might mean zero to them, but to him, this chapter mattered. He truly believed grouping up would make everyone grow way faster together. While they were talking, they suddenly spotted that exact same sophomore sprinting after them from behind. The guy was just screaming his lungs out. Instantly, Anna pinned him down with magic. She said she didn't bring him along for his crazy strength, but she definitely expected way better results. Instead, he totally humiliated himself publicly. That instantly made the entire group realize Anisha had finally stepped in personally. He saved energy for one big burst, but nothing changed. Saram only noticed one weird detail. He just kept staring at his hand. When asked why, Jarong realized this exact feeling matched his epic fight against the horned horror. Flashback 3 weeks ago, he was unpacking his old gear and up close. Most of it was completely trashed. Kill Blood was in the worst shape, barely looking usable. Its power was straightforward. If the user faced death, the spell automatically fired. He suddenly remembered his pocket pendant triggering. It was likely why he landed completely safe, but that wild burst of power still really bugged him. Could it be another crazy effect of Kill Blood? It definitely wasn't some hidden inner power suddenly awakening. I mean, the item he was holding cost 22 billion. An item that insanely expensive had to hold more than just one basic skill. Suddenly, that massive price tag made total sense. Now you and I both know he didn't just imagine that magic blast. Looking right at his hands, he realized the feeling was identical to back then. But why right now? Maybe it wasn't the artifact at all, because suddenly Anisha totally flipped the script, demanding he help her instead of Sarum. She figured Sarum literally just bought his loyalty. She even bragged that whatever Sarum paid, others would easily triple the cash and cover all extra expenses. Sarum furiously screamed that was pure garbage, but Anisha sharply cut her off, calling it a totally fair deal since Jarong just wrecked their high school student. What really caught her eye, he acted like he couldn't even enter the academy and ignored her name. She guessed something massive was ruining his entrance exam focus. But hey, cash fixes almost anything. To Anisha, that wallet was literally Sum's only actual value. Then she crossed a massive line, roasting Sarum for having zero talent, zero kindness, and absolutely no reputation. Germ just smiled, totally disagreeing with her. At least Sarum had serious endurance. He fired back, saying he totally understood Anisha now. A person this incredibly bitter would easily attack her own sister. Anisha completely snapped, blasting a huge magic wave that barely missed him. Then she boldly announced all classes were canceled for the week. Seeing their pathetic sophomore get pushed this far, the other students realized protecting him was totally pointless. Honestly, they only showed up to farm some VIP connections anyway. Anisha brushed it off as minor wasted time, casually suggesting everyone just pretend this entire crazy mess never actually happened. Then she dropped a heavy warning. If Jarong wasn't chasing her sister's cash, he better watch his back next week, or his school life was doomed, he almost replied. But Sorrow blocked him, asking what wild magic Anisha just used. Sorrow fully admitted she probably staged this whole crazy drama just to learn. Everything about him, there was zero chance Anisha ever actually liked her. Now, she was completely obsessed with anything tied to Sauron. After digging into Jarong, she clearly wanted to sabotage their bond. Her next big move, probably dragging him right out of the entrance exam squad. Just thinking about that gave the whole crew major chills. But our main guy, he was obsessing over that weird strength that vanished right when Anisha unleashed her power. It finally clicked. Back then, it wasn't some legendary power meant to slay gods. It was raw strength forcibly awakened by the actual spell. A direct response to danger, Sis Rome checked on him, asking if he was okay since he seemed much colder. Juryong lowered his fist, saying he was fine. More than ever, he desperately needed to master magic fast. Meanwhile, the sophomore finally woke up, absolutely terrified to see Gaeun just standing there completely casually like nothing ever happened. He had zero clue why Gon was there, and that's where we leave it. Mayos casually apologized, actually thinking the dude could survive a single punch. Alright, stick with me here. Dude didn't expect to get totally wrecked publicly. His buddy says he absolutely deserved it. If anyone was out of line, it was him. You don't just act up to someone tied to the district tragedy and flex an attitude. Honestly, he should be thankful he's still breathing. Hearing that, Jarong realizes the guy never expected to get stomped so hard, especially since our MC wasn't even going all out. The sophomore is totally shook, admitting his speed was barely basic. Plus, the dude got way too emotional and fought angry, making his moves super predictable and boring. Our MC already caught all his bad habits. Confused, the sophomore asks what he actually means. The protagonist says he literally reviewed the camera footage outside and dropped some hard facts. Fix your center of gravity before swinging, and make sure to lean into your leading foot. He even typed the whole critique on his phone. Seem knows the high schooler is mind blown because Jirian clearly isn't shaking him down. He's just dropping legit free advice. Makes sense, MC respects honest feedback from older students, but this sophomore still completely processing the shock. Literally a minute ago, he tried a cheap sneak attack and now MC is coaching him. The protagonist says whatever. The guy already paid the price, so no hard feelings here. They all came to train, so bouncing right now would just be pointless. He offers to help out, telling them to grab his number for the video file. After Kalon dips with Jarong. He mumbles that those high schoolers are total garbage for ditching their boy. Big yikes. Then our duo links back up with Seam, who says the grind isn't over. Time to hit the spell theory. She breaks it down. Magic is basically fuel. Spells run on it, and better fuel means bigger booms. Emosi asks what that actually means. So Gon tries another angle and Zero jumps in, saying she's mentioned this before, like stacking newspapers. It still loses to one tiny spark because everyone has a magic limit. She flexes her C-rank magic, which is honestly top tier, strong enough to nuke enemies or buff the squad. She adds that learning self-enhancement buffs for combat is an absolute game changer. Now pay attention because this gets Juryong super hyped. He realizes if he buffs his skills like his kill blood technique, he'd be absolutely unstoppable. He actually asks if they can max it out in a week. Siam shoots him a look. No noob is learning this in a weekend getaway. As a vet, she knows better. Nailing just the basics takes 2 whole weeks, and raw strength boosting, that's barely the tip of the magical training iceberg. Out of nowhere, the high schooler steps up to help. If Jaeyoung doesn't mind learning from his former hater, self-enhancement is literally his best subject. By sunset, he pops off the lowest tier spell, Fire Sprout. He's totally hyped, but the high schooler tells him to just chill out a second. Honestly, if it didn't light up at all, that'd be super embarrassing. Literally, anyone can force out that tiny spark without any real skill. Jaeyoung asks if he should supersize the flame or mix in water. The sophomore says nah, just keep the spark alive and look inward, feel the magic first. Our MC has zero clue how to feel a vibe he's never experienced, but the upperclassman promises him it's not actually a brand new feeling. Even if he didn't call it magic, MC's been using mana on autopilot. His inner energy is super active right now, making it the absolute perfect time to lock in. The second Jaeyoung shuts his eyes, the sophomore tells him to grab onto that feeling and hold tight. Catching even a glimpse means he's cleared step 1. While MC searches his soul, the older guy is sweating, thinking a beast like the protagonist having zero basics is wild. He's just praying this won't ruin his entire weekend. Suddenly, MC says he feels a weird, tingly spark, like he's just waking up to the real world around him. You and I both know MC is built different, right? The upperclassman is floored because Jaeyoung tapped into his magic in under 60 seconds, calling it absolutely incredible. He maps out around 100 pathways inside himself. Magic basically relies on 2 parts, the mana-making core near the belly button and the chains that carry it. Exactly 127 chains exist. Mid-talk, Suram asks Yoonguk if he plays any instruments, since that makes the whole concept click way faster. Casting magic is basically composing music on a piano. Yoonguk looks totally lost, so Suram casually sparks a D-rank spell, Thunderfist, right there. She points out she didn't chant or use hand signs. Real magic ain't always flashy anime moves. The heavy lifting happens internally, even while standing completely still. With a real piano, you press the keys in perfect order and timing to make music. Magic works the exact same way. Treat those mana chains like piano keys, and your spell is the hit song you just played. You pick from those 127 chains, pumping mana through them in perfect rhythm and timing. Boom, that is literally magic. Yoonguk stews on that, asking what goes wrong if you mess up a note. CM says basic spells might just survive a tiny flub. But stronger spells, a misclick is bad news. Even botching Thunderfist will leave your body fully paralyzed and completely zapped for half the entire day. With top-tier spells, one typo basically deletes your character. That's why tanks cover the mages. Casting takes intense focus, and battlefields are pure chaos. Yoonguk sighs, admitting he tries feeling his mana off hours, but splitting up those individual chains is still way above his current pay grade. So. Sarum lights up and info dumps again. Jaeyoung realizes she's a total nerd for this stuff. Then he suddenly stands up, making the upperclassman think he's rage quitting. But our guy calmly says he's basically done here. The older student is just scratching his head, completely lost. He tells MC to keep grinding Fire Sprout until the mana vibes feel natural. MC drops the mic, it already does. He can pinpoint exactly where the chains sit. The upperclassman calls cap, so Jaeyoung starts flexing the layout. 2 running to his right fingers, 1 directly to the wrist. 3 on the elbow, 6 down the arm. Left side holds 10. The upperclassman is shattered. A complete noob is already reading his mana this insanely clearly. He swears he's not trolling, he just wants the next step. Honestly, what do you and I even call a genius like this? It's just unfair. For most humans, the amount and layout of these mana chains are pretty standard. That's why every single one is numbered from 1 to 127. Stick with me here, the upperclassman decides to demonstrate, throwing a basic punch before activating the E-rank spell muscle breakthrough. He tells Jerong to feel the insane difference himself. Bam, the senior swings straight at our guy's face. Even the main character instantly feels the speed and raw power are totally off the charts. Any regular dude would have a shattered face. The upperclassman actually laughs, totally amazed that Jerong doesn't even flinch after tanking a heavy hit like that. He admits that back in freshman year, he was basically dead last in class, so he built up absolute confidence in his raw physical strength first. Even then, he realized he completely lacked traditional talent, so he hunted for a new method. Instead of crying over skills he didn't have, he totally weaponized what he did. His magic stats weren't terrible, so he tracked down spells he could actually master. And boom, that is exactly how he became totally obsessed with stacking buffs. Mixing them together creates an insane multiplier, not just basic math. Jerong suddenly connects the dots. That crazy punch from earlier wasn't just one spell. It was a massive combo of stacked buffs working perfectly together. Staring at his own hand, the senior smirks. The thing is, naturally gifted fighters totally ignore buffs. At most, they might use 2 or 3. But this guy, he needs dozens. Even after grinding to average grades by sophomore year and leading his squad, the top-tier elites still treated him like a total cheater. Which explains why he was so hyped today when a top freshman actually asked to train with him. Even if she just used him to get closer to the crew, he was honestly just thrilled. We've all felt that, right? Being ignored constantly just hurts. He simply wanted to share his ideas and be acknowledged, even if he seemed like a show-off jerk. Suddenly, he realizes how incredibly late it is and awkwardly starts to leave. He tries to apologize again, but Jerong just cuts him off and tells him to stop stressing. If Tom is actually in trouble, they still have 58 whole hours. Plus, Jerong is already super hyped for their next intense training session tomorrow morning. By Monday, everyone is gathered, talking about how great the morning air feels. None of them expected to spend the whole weekend grinding instead of sleeping. Basically, they pulled a total all-nighter. But crazily enough, nobody looks exhausted except for Sad Tiem, mostly because Jerong and Yoonguk are both rocking a rank stamina. Sidium says she never knew group training could help this much. If they were back in the center, she definitely wouldn't lose to Kako Papa right now. The senior mentions he just called a cab and asks if anyone needs a ride toward Gangnam. He's got school practice today, so he's heading exactly that way. The main character raises his hand, asking to be dropped off at any nearby station, so they ride together. It's a weekday morning, so the roads are absolutely packed anyway. Getting a bit awkward, the senior admits this weekend meant a lot to him too. Honestly, it was probably his absolute best weekend since he was 5. Since he's booked solid all month, he isn't sure they'll hang out before the exam. He tells everyone to go all out, especially Siram. Failing the finals now would be a massive, humiliating disaster. Suram turns bright red, already knowing the stakes. He also speaks to Yoonguk, asking the two of them to at least pretend they actually know each other. Saying his goodbyes, he heads to the car. Meanwhile, Yoonguk and Suram are left waiting, still acting completely awkward around each other. As the sun comes up, Jerong says he's super glad they beat the traffic. He adds this was his best weekend ever, and thanks entirely to the upperclassmen. He picked up awesome new concepts and that crazy special technique. Pausing for a second, the senior admits it's purely theoretical. He's literally never seen it work or tested it himself. So yeah, it might be total garbage. Maybe it's just his wild imagination, but he seriously feels like it could work. If it does, Jerong says it's perfect for communication. Totally confused, the senior asks what he means, but Jerong just brushes it off as a massive story. He promises to share the results if it succeeds, even suggesting they grab lunch sometime. The senior agrees, but only if the main character gets in. He honestly just doesn't have time to hang out with a regular school student. Our boy appreciates the honesty and they split up. Getting home, he complains about being exhausted before school, but the headmaster instantly shuts that down. Watch closely, everything flips here. The headmaster says Jerong won't even have time to sleep, Forget regular school, he's already being prepped to transfer straight to the War Academy. Perfect attendance means nothing for the entrance exams, so he orders him to pack up. Then he notices our guy has picked up magic. Basic, sure, but completely active. Jerong confidently replies that if you already know what's coming, you better prepare ahead of time. But the headmaster smirks, saying he's both right and totally wrong. Seeing Jerong's confusion, the older man tells him not to take this the wrong way. He didn't mess up, but those were absolutely not private lessons. This wasn't a lesson, it was a real test to see if he was truly ready and if he actually wanted to live like an adventurer. That's exactly what the director needed to figure out. He had to push him to the absolute limit because one harsh truth was clear. The main character wasn't the insane genius he initially thought. For a second, the director looks dead serious before his face completely relaxes. He casually reminds Jerong that he brought along a few essential supplies, and he'd restock them on the road if they ran out. When the main character asks where they're heading, he wonders if it's the director's old active duty training ground. Nope, the old man sold that spot ages ago. While talking, the director awkwardly fumbles with a stubborn lid. When Jerong asks what he's doing, the old man just grins and says this special package is exactly for him. Pop, the lid finally comes off, revealing Jerong's brand new weapon. The metallic color looks slightly off, but the crazy part is it's smaller and grips perfectly in his hand. The director barks at him to move out. If he loves weapons so much, he's about to get plenty of field testing. He's super pumped until that feeling instantly crashes into panic. A massive carnivorous ant appears. We're talking about a deadly 4-star rank monster. He keeps hearing that same warning in his head about 3-star monsters. Run if you can. Anything 4 stars or higher, you literally never engage, that's what they taught him. But the director coldly says that rule only applies to smugglers, not real adventurers. He tells Jerong that if he's too terrified to move, just beg and he'll save him instantly. Meanwhile, the headmaster flashes back to the wild potential he witnessed 6 months ago. So what do you and I make of this? The director knows his skills, but these ants absolutely shred close-range fighters. If Jerong hasn't seriously improved, he's a dead man. Let's dive into the madness. The second the director stopped talking, that ant bolted. It was so blindingly fast, our guy still caught hands. This was just his second time going toe-to-toe with a 4-star threat. Totally different beast from his last fight, but the golden rule stayed exactly the same. Offense or defense, zero room for error here. No squad to back him up means one tiny slip equals game over. He had to go all out and end this quick. He dropped 2 heavy strikes, then dashed behind it for the finisher. See, the real gap between 3-star and 4-star monsters, pure brain power. Sure, it depends on the species, but these things can read a room like humans. Some even troll you just for fun. Right as Jerry Yang pushed in, the ant literally used its massive head as a shield. A basic stab wasn't piercing that armor, and the headmaster totally thought he was toast. He almost stepped in with magic, but bam, Jerry Yang just straight up sliced that bug in half with his brand new staff. The power output was absolutely crazy. Landing on his feet, he couldn't believe it actually worked. The headmaster was completely shook. Dude activated a weapon blindly. He asked how our guy felt. Panting hard, he muttered out, weak, dizzy, and totally drained. Exhausted, no, just caught off guard. Lighting up a smoke, the director noticed zero magic energy. That meant the staff forged its blade from pure physical stamina, not mana. That old school system wasn't anything new. But trading stamina usually drains you completely dry. That super heavy strike only left him slightly out of breath. Honestly, that kind of endurance is absolutely legendary. The director called it luck. Without him gasping, he'd miss a huge lesson. Our hero fully admitted he was about to lose. He knew a loss was coming, even though he didn't doubt his own skills. Honestly, his moves were clean, on pure combat ability. He was practically swinging at a gold rank adventurer level. That praise made Jerry Yang blush big time, but the director completely shut that ego boost down. He'd known 10 gifted fighters, his dad included. Over half got wiped by weaker monsters. Suddenly, boom, another ant spawned and charged straight at him. Now watch closely, it was the exact same ant, just super regenerated in seconds. As Jerry Yang rushed back in, his staff suddenly morphed into a massive hammer. The director realized his stance and swing, let the weapon literally auto-select the perfect form for that exact moment. Sounds basic, right? But for a guy like Jerry Yang, it was broken. Still, a god-tier weapon means nothing. Without a solid game plan, and time was ticking, pretty soon our boy was heavily battered, bruised, and running totally on empty. Just as the bug moved in for the kill, the director calmly stepped up, threw a shield block, and lit another smoke. He straight up asked what our guy's plan was, since he was taking massive hits left and right. Our hero fired back, "I smashed every weak point, what else do I do?" The director gave him one word: run. Jerry Yang hated backing down, but the boss clarified, don't just run blind. Bait it somewhere, its healing factor shuts down completely. That was the winning play. It finally clicked, change the arena. Fighting a flesh-eating tree, best option is luring it onto barren ground where it starves, cutting off the nutrients powering its crazy region. The headmaster dropped facts, dragged that thing into rocks or concrete ruins, and Jerry Yang would have crushed it 5 times over. But our guy never thought of that. He just kept finding weak spots, aiming, and swinging for the fences. Zero backup plan. While listening, he pointed out something chilling: that monstrous tree could shatter magical barriers. The old man laughed, admitting defense wasn't his main flex, so against a monster tree, he used Strat 2. Roasted alive with C-rank fire magic or higher. That's exactly why this thing is rated 4 stars. Super lethal, but rocking a massive elemental weakness. Fire magic can't cast flames, stick to starving it out. It's really not that bad once you learn its specific game mechanics. I know what you're thinking, just use fire, right? But before anyone realized luring it was way easier, this thing was a complete nightmare for physical fighters. Back in the day, nobody had military-grade fire bombs lying around. The first generation barely even had decent attack spells. So adventurers literally died testing these strats. Those were the talented legends the director meant. Gifted pros wiped out by mobs we now consider basic. He looked at him and got serious. How did your first defeat feel? Staring at the dirt, he admitted it sucked. Catching a massive loss from a monster isn't like human sparring, it's raw humiliation. Total regret, empty vibes, feeling like a total scrub. Every single adventurer eats that reality check at least once. Get lucky and you just walk away traumatized. Unlucky, body bags, and survivor's guilt hits insanely hard when your squad doesn't make it. The boss wasn't just dropping emotional baggage on him. He needed him to get that. Forging a real adventurer takes blood, and hitting the gym won't fix that. Right after dropping that heavy speech, he tossed our boy a pack and said, start running for hours. Why? Because a dungeon's internal dimensions completely defy real-world physics. From the outside, they seem normal, but step through the gate and it's enormous. Like the Akaris jungle covers 4 districts of Seoul externally. But inside, bro, it's literally the size of the entire Korean peninsula. They finally arrived, and the director told him to just take it all in. They just walked into the rank danger zone known as Syndrome. The scenery was beautiful, but the old man warned him to stay frosty. Stick with me here, even the weakest mobs are 3 stars, meaning pure hell. For 2 straight weeks, he's getting brutally trained day and night. After that, let's dive into this. The daytime training had to keep going. Even without it, he can totally survive the night. Using every single trick he learned, he should last exactly 1 month. Which is the exact countdown to his big exam. Jurian could only apologize that they were stuck with just 30 days. But man, that month zoomed by and suddenly November hit. It was the day of the Warrior Academy transfer test. Sarum was sweating bullets since he ghosted her for a whole month. With the exam at 9, she actually wondered if he'd bail. Then her phone buzzed. It was him. She spun around instantly, but immediately felt something was super off. Jerong quickly apologized for totally ignoring her texts. He claimed he was stuck off the grid for a solid month and totally forgot to warn her, but what genuinely freaked her out was just how wild he looked right now. It was a crazy late apology, but he begged her to forgive him for the stress. Then he casually said he needed to go wash up before coming back. Sir reached out to stop him, but the second she touched his back, bam, she felt this massive, terrifying danger, and then it just vanished. Jerong quickly apologized again. He said reacting to sneak attacks from behind was just a reflex now. She told him to chill out. She totally got it. Once they hopped in the car, our main character finally explained everything. He said he absolutely loved the new weapon and rushed over without grabbing his stuff, but honestly, he still looked super on edge. As for Sashro, now pay attention to this part. This was the first time she ever felt a vibe like that from a human, that terrifying energy radiating off him. It felt weirdly familiar. For one insane second, Zhang literally felt like a monster. Once they were cruising in the car, he mentioned the new outfit was a perfect fit and felt light as air. Siram told him if they weren't rushing, they could test every single function. High-end gear always comes packed with crazy extra features to fine-tune. But our guy was laser-focused on the exam. Siram admitted that was way better than just sitting around sweating it out. Still, she warned him not to drop his guard, even for a school test. Jerry Young brushed it off, saying the exam itself wasn't hyping him up. What he really wanted was to check out the hero school. Siram hyped it up for months. It was located right in Seoul, near Namon Mountain, sitting around 270 meters above sea level. That zone used to be a basic park, but the mountain actually transformed into one of Korea's tallest peaks because it bordered that massive eager jungle dungeon. Honestly, the mountain mutated into its very own dungeon because of that wild shift 30 years ago. The government teamed up with the Hunter Association to completely wipe it out. They called in every available hunter, held a massive briefing, and 0 people backed down. Joining up was totally optional, but prepping for this insane raid took a whole year. They even dragged in top-tier astronomers and physicists. Finally, they announced that Mount Dick, the old Mount Namsen, was totally cleared. Everyone went completely crazy celebrating. Beating an A-rank dungeon by global standards is an epic win. But once the hype died down, people started wondering. Mount Drabik was absolutely huge, packed with multiple peaks across a massive mountain range. Everyone argued about how to use that epic land. Then one single comment shut the whole debate down. Young just said, "Let's build a school there." Hunters desperately needed a legit training ground, but building an academy that could actually handle that many overpowered rookies, not an easy quest. So the project kept getting pushed back. Technically, that dungeon had no boss anymore, but the real ownership belonged to the badasses who risked everything to clear it. Almost nobody knows this secret today. If the MVP hunter had kept his ownership rights instead of tossing them away, that hero academy would absolutely not exist right now. And surprised that legendary hunter was Young. Jae-jong admitted that even without studying there, hitting up that campus was totally on his bucket list. He joked they could make a total fortune selling school souvenirs. Then he got confused, asking why they were leaving Seoul if the academy wasn't up north. Tae-ryung let out a heavy sigh. So much wild stuff went down while he was offline. Did he know Jace? They were a super famous, top-tier dungeon clearing squad. His own buddies were huge fans, but the whole squad got wiped out when their lock snapped and the shelter completely collapsed right as a super dangerous monster approached. It sounded absolutely brutal. At the wreckage, they found illegal meds in the bodies of famous elites. Jae-rong immediately guessed it sparked a massive scandal. Seem nodded, totally right. Public apologies started dropping everywhere, even from the Big Shot Hunter Association. Trust in major factions absolutely tanked. She straight up admitted she would have blamed the hunters too before meeting him. To calm everyone down, the association rolled out massive new projects. The changed exam location, that was one. You and I both know our guy had to ask about the Fang Maze next, so Myro explained it was the second dungeon fully cleared after Drabik Mountain. Another absolute nightmare zone ranked above A-class. Ages ago, the legendary dragon Wazuka called it home. Meanwhile, way down in the Jensen Group Lab's underground forge, Zeke was super annoyed. He barely managed to drag down a few barrels and asked if their blacksmith seriously chugged that much booze so fast. The blacksmith instantly barked at Zeke to stop whining. He hadn't tasted legit wine in forever, and this tiny amount wouldn't even hit his liver. Zeke still warned the guy to lay off. This was 25-year-aged honey wine, an insanely strong dwarven brew. The blacksmith smirked, bragging that even elite elves couldn't handle this stuff, so everyone already knew it was top-tier quality. Then he asked why Zeke bothered coming down. Did he finally have updates about Jarich? Zeke sighed, saying not exactly. He just wanted info on the Wazuka maze. The association had actually pinged the blacksmith about it 20 years back. The blacksmith confirmed they wanted to build a hardcore training ground there. He flat out told them the idea was pure garbage, so they kicked him out. Zeke asked why he fought them so hard on it. But the blacksmith just cracked open another barrel. He told Zeke that elves should understand this rule best. Dragons get intensely obsessed with their hobbies. Their cravings change, but once they lock onto something, they never let it go. Wazuka was famous for absolutely loving mazes, plus, even among terrifying dragons. He was a legendary powerhouse. He poured insane effort into making his nest an absolute death trap, stealing Titan, dwarf, human, and elven techniques. Anything to make it a total mind-bender. No normal human could survive a beast like that. Zeke started sweating, thinking all those deadly traps were wiped out 20 years ago by the dwarf and elf teams. But the blacksmith downed his drink. Wazuka had kidnapped over 1,000 dwarves, and trust me, we're all wondering how the humans actually caught that dragon. But he knew one thing for sure, that kill didn't happen inside the maze. Somebody lured it out and finished it off somewhere else. If that dragon stayed put, no hunting party could have ever caught it, no matter their gear. Plus, if the maze stayed the same for 20 years, the blacksmith knew they were only scratching the surface. Stick with me here because something way worse was hiding deeper down, and who knew how the maze would react now. Looking at Zeke's face, the blacksmith figured some absolute fools had already poked the bear. He warned that if anything went down in there, they'd learn a brutal lesson. Or maybe some absolute genius would actually conquer the dungeon instead. Meanwhile, Jarong had just pulled up to the fun training center, which used to be that exact maze. The applicants were told to gather up, grab their passes, and sign contracts down in Zone B1. The whole area was totally rebuilt into a massive maze featuring different themes and crazy difficulty spikes, which everyone already knew. Ram pointed out that since this brand new test site was just opened, absolutely nobody had any inside scoops or cheat sheets. Honestly, that blind spot was a huge advantage for our guy. Plus, the turnout was massive. Jarong smirked, praising his cousin's handiwork, mostly because he could already feel tons of angry glares just begging to tear them to shreds. Shio nervously checked her surroundings, knowing Anisha was scheming something, but 20 enemies was overkill. Weirdly enough, she didn't feel the heat on herself at all. Meanwhile, Jarong realized his hardcore grind sessions were finally paying off. Over the last month, he learned to instantly sense whenever someone locked onto him. It's a creepy nightmare vibe. Saram described it perfectly, like that gross, sticky feeling when you crack open a window during peak summer heat. For a solid month, Jarong risked his absolute life inside a high-level dungeon. Because of that brutal run, he leveled up big time. He mastered dodging danger before it even locked onto him. But this heavy vibe, it felt like getting targeted by a whole army at once. In a spot like this, the polite thing to do was say hello back. Now watch closely because our guy refuses to look weak. He casually lets his raw energy spill out until everyone feels it, 50 minutes before the exam kicks off. Meanwhile, a bunch of VIPs were chilling in Conference Hall 1 at the Fang Training Center, patting each other on the back for organizing this massive event. One was the Hunter Association director, sitting comfortably at rank 12 in South Korea. Then Go Dok-soo, the current headmaster. Spoke up, totally trashing their rushed and reckless plan. In his eyes, thinking a flashy little stunt like this would actually win the public over was just plain foolish. He argued that everyday people crave honesty, not some shiny new spectacle. But hey, as a guy on the payroll, he had to follow the crowd. He mentioned that if anyone truly deserved praise, it was the young woman sitting right across from him, the actual boss running the show, even if she officially just held the title of board chairman. She calmly replied that she totally got his vibe, but asked him to chill and not start drama. After all, the entire council poured serious hours into this project. Nobody was really buying that nonsense, knowing full well that dirty connections pulled the strings here. Then some bald dude rocking a flashy red robe jumped in, claiming they were all overreacting since this wasn't even the official main exam. It was just a bonus test for a handful of elite students, so he didn't understand the anger. The others quickly shut him down, telling him to sit down and be quiet, unless old age made him forget how he acted 30 years ago. They quickly reminded him that absolutely none of the kids out there deserved to be treated like garbage. Catching that vibe, the chairman warned that if anybody wanted to start another screaming match, she was fully prepared to throw down. With the headmaster and the board constantly at each other's throats, everyone knew the powder keg would eventually blow. They just didn't expect it to pop off today. You and I both know what happens next. A totally random applicant rolls up, drops a massive aura, and completely derails their argument as every single eye snaps toward the street. Around that exact time, the older guy stepped out of the office to chat with Teacher Kang. He casually mentioned that a completely different teacher should actually be the real target of their trash talk, since every single hunter in Korea knew the association chairman was basically just a corporate lapdog. He then asked Teacher Kang if that was too brutal. Kang admitted the wording was a little spicy, but the old man knew he totally agreed. Once people get a taste of real power, they want to flex every single drop of it. Still, he wondered if they crossed a line, because schools should really be fighting for top graduates fairly by offering the best programs. Instead, some places were just luring in kids who only chased perks, ignoring actual skill for cheap connections, money, and easy fame. The old man sighed, saying that in a few years, finding a young hunter with actual talent might be impossible. Too many were getting hyped over easy handouts, eventually growing into greedy adults chasing nothing but superficial benefits. Like a fish stuck in a well, they can't fight the hand feeding them. He honestly suspected this whole ridiculous exam only happened because the big boss made one simple request, which meant half the crowd showing up today were basically just Nepo babies and close buddies. He checked in with Teacher Kang again, wondering if he was acting too salty. He vented that losing their own students was bad enough. Now, those powerful guys were actively pressuring the kids who actually decided to stay. Did that mean his efforts in the entire academy were just totally worthless? Kang told him to shake it off, and the old man nodded. Then they brought up that insane aura everybody just felt. They laughed about it, admitting a crazy stunt like that might actually make today pretty entertaining, since a dude radiating that much heat is impossible to ignore. Maybe he was flexing on purpose, which honestly made it hilarious. The old guy Loki wanted this wild kid to pass. As a director, he couldn't play favorites out loud, but he genuinely hadn't been this incredibly hyped to test a new student in absolute ages. Right after the teachers wrapped up their chat, the applicants finally got the exam details. Basically, locate a hidden treasure and drag it out safely. To score a win, they needed to track down a chest deep inside the dungeon, snatch the loot, and escape alive. All of this was blasted on a massive screen just 30 minutes before kickoff. Jarong paid close attention, surprised that the rules were actually crazy simple. He figured there'd be some annoying point system to deal with. He quickly signed a waiver just in case he got totally wrecked. The craziest part was that even if every single person succeeded, there'd still be loot left over inside. Absolutely zero limits on how many people could pass today. But if even a quarter of this massive crowd rushed in, you're looking at over 100 people fighting for it. The instructor wrapped up, promising more details later, but for now, everybody could head straight to the exam field where their gear was waiting. Jarong was pretty annoyed that he couldn't check the phone he just handed over. But he figured he'd see Serum soon enough. And that's where we leave it for now, because right then, Jarong spots two massive guys bullying an injured kid who accidentally bumped into them. Trust me, karma's about to hit hard. Let's dive in. You and I are watching two bullies ready to attack, but Xiao Yang steps up, telling them to back the heck off. The pair acted super cocky since they had Sais on their side, but our boy drops his insane aura. He tells them they're pushing their luck, making it crystal clear that the law is literally the only thing keeping them breathing right now. And inside the exam, totally different rules. Getting the hint, they instantly back down. Then our main character grabs the kid's dropped book and hands it over. The guy says he didn't need to bother, but Xiao Yang helps anyway, wishing him awesome test luck. Seeing that huge prep book, he knows this kid is hardcore. That's Pio Du-jin, 18 years old, and the guy who actually grabbed second place in last year's massive freshman assessment. By now, the whole crowd packed the training center's maze entrance. Only 10 minutes left on the clock before this crazy exam finally kicks off. Here is where you and I need to pay attention. Everyone hits their assigned doors. For Jaeyoung, stepping into these pods feels like a sci-fi movie. Locked inside, they get the rundown, doors pop open when the timer hits 0, and it is game on. These pods feel exactly like elevators. Everyone rocks a tactical bracelet tracking time, health, and location. Just 5 insane seconds left on the clock. The Fang Labyrinth used to be called the Baskin Abyss. tons of pro hunters seriously doubted if this place was even safe for rookies. But honestly, nobody knew what this absolute nightmare was hiding. It plays by its own sneaky rules. Suddenly, Jaeyoung gets a really bad gut feeling. The pod starts violently shaking. Suddenly, alarms are absolutely screaming for everyone to bail. Major emergency alert. The entire internal structure is literally shifting right now. The insane truth drops. This isn't a test site. It is a literal predator, fully swallowing them alive as its prey. So what do you and I make of this? They just walked blind into a masterless dragon maze. Smash that subscribe and drop a comment.